Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Who. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I love y'all. I appreciate you guys. I apologize about yesterday. We just didn't go live yesterday because some stuff came up, so couldn't go live yesterday. But we are live now tonight on a beautiful, beautiful Thursday night here in Atlanta. I would say spring is definitely here. Thank God, because I can't stand the cold weather. And with spring comes spring ball. So spring ball will be starting soon. Go Dogs, go Georgia Bulldogs. We are going to win the national championship this upcoming season. Fitzgerald Stevens, if you're watching this, I know you're going to be hating and say, yo, Alabama Crimson Tide going to win the national championship, but they're not. You're not. Anybody that thinks that the Alabama Crimson Tide is going to win the national championship this year are on that narcotic delusion. But before we get started, a couple of announcements. Announcement number one, we are rolling to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone has restarted the citizenship process again. Sierra Leone has restarted the citizenship process. I am coordinating a group for next month. The only changes, the major changes, you have to come twice. Again, the major change is you have to come twice. So every April and December will be citizenship conferment ceremonies. So if you come in this April, you won't get your passport to the following April. You have to wait a year. So So if you come this April, you won't get your passport to the following April. And if you come in December, you won't get your passport to the following December. Now, there will be a citizenship conferment ceremony this December, but it's for the group that came last November of 2024. So citizenship is back on in Sierra Leone. And also too, as of right now, Sierra Leone is the only country in Africa that has I would say, transparent and streamlined process for those seeking citizenship by DNA. Again, it's only Sierra Leone. I know Benin rolled some initiative out not too long ago, but I don't know anyone. If you've received your citizenship from Benin Republic via the new initiative, the new DNA initiative, let me know. Let's celebrate you. From what I understand, there's something that's been going on with Burkina Faso. I don't know if there's been like an official announcement from the government yet, but hey, from my understanding, they're supposed to be getting their passports in June, from my understanding. But again, no one really knows anything. Well, I haven't seen anything official come from Burkina Faso itself. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna open up the lines, but when it comes to let me finish the announcements, then we'll jump into it. So yeah, and then Guinea-Bissau, they recently gave citizenship to several people who were had traced their DNA to Guinea-Bissau, but it took them like 3 or 4 years to get their passports. And once again, it's not transparent. Sierra Leone's the only country that has an actual initiative, a program where you can come and get this citizenship if your DNA links to Sierra Leone. Also, they're now accepting more DNA companies. At first, it was just African Ancestry, but African Ancestry, they no longer have the MOU with the government. So African Ancestry, Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and there's another one, CRI. If your results come back with one of those companies, you are eligible for citizenship. So yeah. So let's so visit Danfo.Africa. Danfo.Africa. I'm gonna pull up the site right now. That's DANFO.Africa. Again, that's DANFO.Africa to learn more. Also, we're going to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival, Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival, Zanzibar in September. Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue. Namibia and South Africa in November for Dunes and Amapiano. And then we're going back to Sierra Leone in December. So please visit Danfo.Africa to learn more. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. And Sir James, I'm reading your comments. Guys, there's two sides to every story. Kagame has his side of the story. People of the Congo have their side of the story. To be honest, I am leaning more towards Kagame because of just the history of the incompetence and corruption of the Congo. And there's a interview with Mario Nafal, I believe his name is Mario Nafal, that Kagame just did, and the interview went live yesterday, part 1. And we're gonna listen to this interview, and we're gonna listen to Kagame's side of the story. And I'm sorry, his side of the story just makes more sense. I mean, yeah, it makes more sense. So we're gonna listen to this side of the interview. I'll put the link in the chat room. You guys will be able to call in afterwards, but it's an hour long. But I think it's important to listen to this. And if you disagree with them, you're more than welcome to call in and say, I disagree.
In a way that 3 months.
So let's jump into it. Here we go. And guys, make sure you hit the like button as well. But we're gonna listen to this whole hour and 10 minutes of this interview, and then I'll take some calls. And this is Mario Nafal, by the way. Go subscribe to his page.
Months or so.
And fair use, y'all, fair use.
And then you had a country, as you said earlier, that was just death. There was nothing there, just dead bodies and dogs eating those bodies. Mm-hmm. And anyone that was alive was either a participant in the massacre or someone that was lucky enough to escape. How? What would you do as someone that is in charge of such a country? What was the first thing you did to rebuild the country?
Yeah, you got to find where to start from, and one of them was reorganize the forces that that had been fighting, and map out what next do we do. We at least the war is won with a huge loss. That's another issue. And then the other is what remains of people. By the way, this was accompanied in 94 at the beginning. We had nearly 3 million people who went into Eastern Congo, 3 million. And others about 600 to 800,000 into Tanzania.
Wow.
Yeah. So the whole country was emptied. Yes, and that was part of the strategy for them. It was like, if we are defeated, and then we shall empty the country so that these people, because they used to call us foreigners, that these foreigners who came in from outside, from Uganda, from Burundi, from wherever, by the time they come, they should find the country empty, meaning making it ungovernable, or even to fail to start from anywhere. So, but we did two things. We reorganized our own people, and we're in no way hiding the fact that this was almost an impossible task
It
to
was.
rebuild the country that
No. Hold on.
starts from below the scratch.
You and I, again, I think it's fair to hear both sides of the story. Again, I think it's fair to hear both sides of the story, Kagame side and the Congolese side. And I'm just leaning towards Kagame. But what I'll do after this interview, I'll put the link in the chat room. You guys are more than welcome to call in and give your feedback, or if you disagree, no problem.
And the empty of people, because the refugees had others were displaced internally. 3 million went to Eastern Congo, about 700, 800 went to Tanzania, others hundreds to Uganda, others hundreds of thousands to both Uganda and Burundi. So we had others internally displaced in their thousands. So we had now to create a sense of security to allow people and start encouraging people not only to come back from outside, but also for those internally displaced to go back to their places and assured them nothing is going to happen to them, which we succeeded in doing. Now, this is where it becomes even very interesting. For the millions of those who were in Eastern Congo, they were held captive by the army that fled with them, and they had all kinds of arms. They had tanks, they had artillery, and they were all positioned in the camps.
They had, so when they fled the AFDR, when they fled to Congo, they fled not only with like machine guns and machetes,
No,
they had
huge
tanks.
arms. Yeah.
And from what I know as well, the French troops, I think it's UN peacekeeping troops, they gave them a safe passage into Congo.
They did.
Right after the genocide.
From 2 points, one southwest, Rusizi area, and then from northwest to...
Because they expected, I'm assuming they expected the RPF, your group, to commit reprisal attacks and kill them.
Not only that, they might have expected that, but more so, they had wanted to find time to reorganize and attack the country again, to take over the country.
That was their plan.
That was their plan.
So I think he's talking about, is it the FDLR or FLRD? FLDR?
They went with everything, by the way. The treasury was empty, the central bank, all the money taken, everything. They were living in a place called Mugunga in Eastern Congo, where even now there are refugees. But the point I'm bringing up is interesting, that is interesting for me, is we kept urging them to come back and reassured them that nothing would happen to them. But those leaders, both
FDLR,
in the army
FDLR.
and in politics, were refusing them to come back, the millions. So what we did...
Yeah, FDLRs the committed genocide in Rwanda. They fled to the Congo, and they're still a threat to this day.
If they don't come back, two things. We will repatriate them forcefully, because we don't even want the defeated army and the militias to hold them hostage and later on use them to come back. And we did that surgically. We did it actually with the minimal. So we kept urging them. And when we went and surrounded these camps and told people, ordinary people, to move out and leave these armed groups there.
You did that, what, through radio broadcasts?
We were doing through radio broadcasts. We were using UN as well, and we were sending people who had relatives among them to go and talk to them. They went. So
the UN was telling people that?
Yeah. Okay. We prepared that.
So I said, play the video at 1.5.
So
okay.
we actually now forced them back.
Okay.
And they came. Now the story here I'm driving at. Now the whole world there was minimal loss of life in what we did, but we stood accused of having forcefully repatriated people. And the world was blaming us. For quite some days, they were all flowing, just like a river, more or less.
In the 90s?
Flowing, yeah, that was the 90s.
Okay.
And they were being accused. Now, the point I'm making here is the aid, the humanitarian industry had taken hold of things. So these camps should remain like that forever.
So the aid agencies they're meant to help people build their own life and move on from the camp. The camp is meant to be temporary.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that aid agencies had an incentive to keep that camp as is in
Forever.
perpetuity.
It becomes an.
And here comes the fraudulent U.S. aid. Here we go. Oh, wrong button.
Industry on its own. By the way, that is what the accusation is in Eastern Congo currently. But there have been camps there even before Goma fell, before the war, because of the chaos that has been going on in Eastern Congo. Now that these people took over FCM 23, and people have actually started going back home, who now entirely the whole group has gone home, the aid agencies are accusing M23 and AFC of causing a humanitarian disaster, because there are no longer many camps to look after. So that becomes a humanitarian disaster.
So what they're calling is a humanitarian disaster is people moving on from the camps and going home.
Yes.
But what's their incentive? So there must be a financial incentive then for them to run the camps? Because there's no other, why else would...
Of course there are.
So saying
There's money flowing into these organizations for humanitarian activities or to run these camps. If you don't have these camps of people displaced, where even if you got the money, you say, unless you go to their homes and help them from there, which would be a noble thing. But that's not what they do. They complain that they have left camps and they are not able to feed them with all kinds of things. So that becomes a political issue. As it is now. Now it is. But it is now and it was then, 30 years ago. The same thing, the same complaint.
So instead of teaching people how to fish, their incentive is just to keep giving people fish, and that's how they...
You'll never see it anywhere.
Right, the USA.
So essentially, because Rwanda is a country that depends
USA
on
is not there to
for a long time. I think you're one of the biggest beneficiaries. 90% of GDP in the old days was from aid. I think now it's about, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now it's down to like 10-15%. You guys have done really well at not depending on aid. So what you're saying is that aid is, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but aid could become a liability for a country based on what you're saying.
That is even an understatement.
Here we go.
It is. In the long run,
that's why the United States of America is getting rid of USA.
And that has been our position from the beginning. We have told the people we appreciate aid. We needed it and we still need it to an extent. But we need it so that we build capacities, not to need it in the near future.
Bam. And that's what USA doesn't do.
And that's what we do.
So, again, a common friend of ours told me a story about how you were talking with other leaders about this aid. And there was instances where you're like, and I'd rather you tell the story than I, but you're like, I don't need that aid. And they're almost like they're trying to force it on you.
Let me read this. So in 2024, USA provided significant humanitarian assistance to the DRC with a focus on food, water, sanitation, and shelter for displaced populations totaling over $138 million. That's not the U.S. taxpayers' responsibility. That should be up to the Congolese government. The Congolese government should be flipping the bill for this $838 million. And we all know the people who are on the ground in the Congo who are displaced, they're probably only seeing, if that's $838 million that's allegedly going to the Congo, they might be seeing 10 million of that, if even that.
On you in a way?
Yeah.
Can you give me such examples?
It has been discussion. These discussions have dominated many years and many conversations we have had between those who need support, aid support, those who And the question for us has always been, we need it. We can put a date to it. We can show where we need it, but we also work out how to get out of it. And this is something we have with us. We share with anyone who wants to do work relating to aid with us. But that has attracted a lot of problems for us. Some of us even thinking, I mean, we have been branded either arrogant or insensitive or dictatorial or all kinds of names just because of that.
Because you don't want aid.
Because we say, and we try to differentiate things. It's not that we don't want aid for the sake of not wanting it. We are saying aid creates dependency, but not only dependency. Dependency is on the good side. I mean, the better side even. The other one is whoever gives you aid controls your life.
Whoever gives you aid controls your life.
That's why they want you to stay with aid, so they continue controlling your life. And even threaten, use it as a tool to direct you where they want you to go. They keep threatening, if you don't do this, we will switch off.
It's politically weaponizing aid.
It is weaponized, absolutely. Quote me on that.
And so how does that work? How can you tell an aid organization or someone, I don't want aid, and they're like, no, you have to take it? Like, can you give me an example of such an interaction?
Well, let me tell you an interaction. In 1998 or 9, no, I think 8, we used to get a lot of aid because of the situation we were in, 98.
It was 4 years after the genocide.
Yes. And many European developed countries, ministers used to come visit, see the needs and so on and so forth. One time I had a conversation with a number of them. In fact, one, starting with one, I remember a lady, she was called Claire Short. She was UK, International Development Minister of UK. We had a long conversation and I told her, I said, you know what, it's still too early for us to say much, but I think, and I told her, I think it's not too early for that effort. I said, I appreciate your aid a lot. It's almost indispensable in that situation as we're in. I said, but at the same time, I want to start early to be responsible. And I keep talking to our ministers and other leaders that we need to start early being responsible for ourselves. And these, again, were lessons learned from our past, what we went through. And I said, I want you to think about giving us aid, but on the basis that you and us agree on where to put this money you give us. You don't walk in with the bags of money and say, for me, I'm putting it there. You say, this is our country. We want you to come with these bags of money, and you find us here, and we have a conversation about what meets your interests, where do you want your money to go with us, but you must consider where we want the money to go also. Because in the end, we're the ones responsible.
What did she say?
She agreed.
Okay, that's good.
Fortunately, she agreed.
That's a good.
At first, she was like, who is this one now?
Was there interactions?
But later on, we agreed.
Was there interactions that were not as positive?
Yeah, let me show you. So we reached an agreement with her eventually. But interestingly, she invited other ministers of countries, I think, that were friendly to UK or friendly to them. They came with there were 3, 2 other ministers on top of her from different countries. And she wanted me to tell them what I had told her, because she wanted them to listen to what I was saying. And we did. And for some of those 2, they started, you would say.
Let me read a super chat real quick. Ja and Zola. Kagame is all propaganda. If you want to get the truth, listen to his former right-hand man, ex-Rwandan Chief Army Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Kayumba Nyamwasa. And then News Daily responds, General Kayumba Nyamwasa has been actively working with NGOs and Islamists to overthrow Rwanda. But this is who your source is. This is how weak these arguments are. Okay, let's continue.
no, but our people will not accept this. I said, okay, why should your people have a problem? On top of that, I had suggested to her that not only will you give us money, determine where to go, where to put this money by you and us, but we want you to follow up and make sure that we used your money correctly where we agreed. So we should have an audit, maybe after every 3 years.
You've asked them for an audit.
We were asking, yes, we said we should have audit. They would audit all of us. They would audit you if you really gave us the money you promised you would give us. And if we use the money the way we agreed we were going to use it, and this money was not lost in the hands of people who stole it or something. And it worked. Later on, these two were also convinced. So with the 3 countries, they gave us the money, was followed up, audits were made, and they found we were just putting the money they gave us where we had agreed to put.
So it went how it should go.
That's how it should. I mean, there's no question about
But
it.
what about USAID, for example? How is the experience with them?
I'm not deeply. I don't have much knowledge about them and so on. But I'll tell you on the surface of it, at least what I experienced, both when I was still a kid, living in a refugee camp, and I remember we used to see a lot of things coming to us. Sometimes it would be fish. Then another time cooking oil. Then labeled USAID. And yeah, so I fed off USAID, if you
So
will.
you're dependent on them.
Yes,
You and your family dependent on USAID as a kid.
I definitely did as a kid. Yeah, but that is telling part of the story. I was in a refugee camp. In fact, the first thing is to even resolve the problem so that there are no refugees. Okay. The second is you keep feeding people, like in other cases, until when? Does it become something that stays forever with the people? And people just remain grateful that they're being fed and that's it? So there are 2 parts to that area story. As I said, they were not the ones who made us refugees. That's not something to blame them on.
But they didn't care about getting you to become independent and move on for being a refugee.
Yes, because and since USAID is also connected with the government, say, of the United States, they should, at the same time, using their leverage, whatever they have, to address the problems of people who are displaced or who are refugees, so that those other issues are also addressed. And picking it from here, from USAID, for me when I was a kid, and the other story I told you of humanitarian assistance needed by camps in Eastern Congo. I always see, so this is, let's say in Eastern Congo, you have camps. They would stay there for maybe 4 or 5 years. And it's supposed to be so forever. A situation like this one happens, however it happened, people are now removed from camps, they go back homes, whichever home, if they had homes, whichever places. And then there is a complaint that, this is a bigger disaster, that people have gone home is
Instead
a
of
bigger
being called a
disaster.
success, it's being called a disaster.
Yes, so there's therefore that mentality, there's that of dependency that, and it works across politics. It's not just one part. I'll give another example. We discussed with the leaders in East African community, that is Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, South Sudan, ourselves, and so on. We have a community with it. I remember I was that time East African community chair. We talked about, we could see a lot of flows of used clothes, second-hand clothes, tons and tons, more in Kenya, more in Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, wherever they were. So I raised an issue in the meeting. I said, and I told some of the countries I know in this community, I said, I know you grow cotton. A lot of cotton is grown in your country, in this country. When are we going to build our textile industries? If we have cotton, but we export it raw, the way it is in its raw form without adding any value to it, And then we import tons and tons and tons of used clothes. So we agreed, and everybody seemed to, they knew, but they were just reminded. And they said, that's the point. So we agreed we are going to actually make it very costly for people to keep pushing used clothes here so that in the end we develop our textile industries. After a few weeks, in fact, for us, we were not even, so the industry of pushing, they went to these leaders and warned them and said, no, you can't stop.
Who did?
It was from the US.
The US?
Yes.
So they told leaders, you cannot buy this used clothes anymore.
You cannot stop buying from us used clothes or importing them into
Which
your
organization in the US was it?
country. Maybe you'll come to understand it when I go to the last point.
Okay.
So they say, you must, there's no way you can do without this. So some of the leaders, we had made a decision together, but under pressure differently, leaders gave up that decision to not, and we were, in fact, we were also approached and they were told, you're making a mistake, you can't refuse taking in, otherwise you will be affected. They even warned us that if we insist, we are going to be struck off the beneficiaries of AGOA, African Growth Opportunity Act.
So other aid was going to be crossed off because you don't want this. You didn't want this used clothes that was hurting your textile industry, that was preventing you from building a textile industry. Like, I don't want this. This helps us. This one helps us, but I don't want this one because it doesn't help us. They're like, nope, either you take this one as well or we'll stop the good one.
That's exactly what happened. Now, for us, before we realized, all the countries who had agreed to take that decision had already given up, and they were already putting used clothes so that they continue benefiting from United States. In the end, we were left alone. We didn't even know. And that time led us to being struck off the AGOA list. The others remained because they accepted. For us, we were struck off the list of AGOA beneficiaries because of this argument.
That's great. But who makes those decisions? Is it like some junior people in those organizations that are like, no, we need to keep that up?
I don't know. But we tried to argue back. We sent back messages. We were telling whoever we could reach and say, but this is not fair. Blah, blah, blah. They just ignored us.
Did you talk to anyone? But could you bring it up with someone more higher level up politicians?
Yeah. The ones who are in charge of African desk in State Department and yeah.
That's crazy.
So that tells you a bit of the story. Aid. Yes, that's about aid. It's about
dependence.
Yes.
So you had to rebuild the country from scratch, and one thing that everyone talked about that you focused on was dignity, which for me it's so confusing that I had to literally search the definition of dignity because it's not something a term that I would use. Why did the concept of dignity become so important for Rwanda after the genocide, and how would you define dignity?
Yeah. For example, when I told you that we asked these aid donors to really give us a chance so that as we benefit from their aid, we're also building our own capacity so that we don't perpetually depend on them. That's about dignity.
That's exactly what aid organizations should want you to do.
Yeah. And it's about you putting yourself in a certain position that you really don't want to be dependent forever. It's about dignity. When we are telling people, don't push to us second-hand clothes endlessly. Let's have a time we can stop this, but also at the same time we develop our textile industries. It's about, you can't think like that and act like that unless you're mindful of what is your place in this world. It's about dignity.
You even went as far as making begging illegal. Is that true? Well, that's false.
Begging
for money, was that it made illegal at any stage?
In a way that I think that must have come from that, because
so it was true. It was made illegal.
It was true. Okay. It is true.
You made that decision.
And in fact, what we did, we put two processes in place.
It's fascinating. Rule of law.
Yes, we did two things. One is for those who are capable, we gave them a chance to be trained to do something so that they can live on their earnings rather than those who are not capable, either handicapped in one form or another. We have a mechanism in the government of looking after them from government coffers.
So
Either
you're
you are-
building into a system where it no longer became, so it wasn't degrading as begging. It was no longer the dependence that existed during colonial times.
Mhm.
You focus really on just changing everyone's mentality to no longer depend on
That's
others.
exactly what it is. Because you could find some people on the streets begging, young men and women who are like 15, 16, 17,
When they could go and work.
when they could go, even started to do something. And in fact, we put a technical school, which can take in up to close to 1,000 people in the western part of our country, to teach people mechanics, or to be a mechanic, motor vehicle mechanic, or whatever, that category of things. And these young people were sent there, and they learned to do things. I was told, for example, the first batch that came out of that training, which went on for about 6 months, and then later on it was increased to a year. The first batch of 6 months, when they got out of that place, 70% found employment.
Wow.
70%.
Your model's becoming, like, the more I learned about what you did to Rwanda, especially after 1994, you literally turned a country that was probably the most failed a country's ever been in Africa. It's just a complete genocide, to becoming the pinnacle of what Africa could become. And like, the model that you've built is something that other countries could emulate. And I know you've created an organization to teach other countries to do a lot of the similar things you're doing. Why aren't we seeing that in other countries, though? Or are we in Africa? Why is Africa still, as Christian said in one of our calls, it's always referred to as the country of tomorrow, because that tomorrow never comes? What are other countries lacking? What's stopping them from doing what you're doing?
I can really speak for myself. For others, what I see,
I can easily answer that question. It's sellout leadership. It's corruption. Easy. That's what it is. That's the answer.
if they wanted to do things similar, like to ours, they can maybe succeed even more better. But a decision has to be made by leaders, and it's about politics. It's about politics. You can, and people are the same everywhere. If you brought them an opportunity in any part of Africa, Africa is still lagging behind other continents, but what has made other people rich are the same things that they would make Africa rich. Because Africa is endowed with resources. I mean, take a country like DRC, by the way.
Congo is a good time to pivot, because DRC is an incredibly rich country.
Very, very rich. But
One of
there
the
are
richest
other
countries when it
countries
comes to
which
minerals.
okay. Why would a country like that ever have to beg for anything from anyone? Why?
I should be asking you, so your
Yeah,
neighbor.
but yeah, I'm just using the question to answer you, to show that it's about politics, it's about management, it's about, by the way, that integrity that we're talking about. To these leaders feel they should be working with their people and to make sure that they benefit from these resources and raise everybody to a much higher level. Once you don't think about it like that, then it doesn't happen. Because in every country of the continent, I'm sure in the United States, you see many Senegalese, many Rwandans, many Congolese, and they are as brainy, as endowed, as they have the capacities like those people in the United States or like in Europe and so on.
Then why aren't they prospering in Congo? What is, like, Congo is a perfect example of this happening
It's the
today.
politics of continent.
Great question. So why aren't they prospering in Congo? And why are the Tutsis and Paul Kagame the blame for the lack of prosperity of the Congo? Kagame's not the problem. The politicians, the corruption, the poor, corrupt, shady leadership of the Congo is the problem, not Kagame.
It's just the system is so flawed.
It is just
The way I see it, so you have a history with Congo. Obviously, a lot of Rwandan citizens migrated to Congo, escaped to Congo prior to 1994. A lot of Tutsis are there. Now I don't want to use those terms now, but they're still being used in Congo. A lot of Tutsis prior to the genocide. After the genocide, a lot of Hutus as well. So there's a lot of Rwandan citizens in Congo.
But by the way, there are those bona fide citizens. Part of that Congo was carved out and left into Congo during colonial times during the Berlin Conference, when those borders were being drawn.
So the Eastern Congo.
Yes.
Eastern Congo was a separate country, or what before that?
No. I'm saying, when the borders were being drawn, like the border between us and Uganda during colonial times, that is in the 1890s. Yes. So they drew a line. It was just an open place. They drew a line, left Rwanda on this side, what was later to be called Rwanda on one side, and the other side it was called Congo. But this line divided the families. Some of them Rwandan, even related, were
My bad. Thank you. I'm sorry, guys. I was muted. I'm sorry. Yeah, so he's debunking because he'll call in our Congolese brother, and he will make the false statement and will say that there weren't the ethnic groups that are in Rwanda presently today were never in Eastern Congo. And he said that they did not arrive to Eastern Congo until like the late 1900s, or right before or primarily after the genocide. And what I've been saying is those groups have been in that area for thousands of years, or at least at the very least hundreds of years. Because again, what happened? A white man came and drew a line and said, this side is Congo and this side is Rwanda. And he's claiming that the ethnic groups that are in the Rwanda were never in that part of the Congo prior to colonialism, which is crazy.
Left on one side and others on the other side.
It's crazy.
We have a similar situation with Uganda, by the way.
Uganda and Rwanda.
Yeah, Rwanda, yes, southwestern part of Uganda, a place with about 1 million people. They are typically Rwandan. But by that divide, during colonial times, these people were left there as Ugandans, and others were left here as Rwandese.
So just Africans split with lines.
It is everywhere across the continent, in actual fact.
That's crazy.
So the issue now is, you can talk about others who migrated and went to Congo from Rwanda, or
vice versa,
whatever it is, before that, whatever it is. But there are those who are indigenous to that place. And in fact, these are the ones who are fighting, whom the government is uprooting and saying, you go back to Rwanda.
You're talking about the M23 now?
Yeah. And we have, by the 130,000 people, refugees from that group, 130,000.
From Congo and Rwanda?
Yeah. They've been living here for the last 23 years.
And Congo doesn't want them back?
It doesn't even want those who are there, who never came here.
Are they the ones labeled as Tutsi, or they're different?
Yes.
The Tutsis.
Exactly.
So that's where the Tutsi minority is also being targeted in Congo, as it was in Rwanda. And that's a big concern that you have.
That's the point.
Because you have, going back to the history with Congo, because after you became the leader of Rwanda, in 1996, there was a leader called Kabila in Rwanda, who's very corrupt, supported by the US during Soviet Cold War era. Then the US withdrew its support.
That was Mobutu.
Mobutu was the one. Mobutu.
Yes.
And then Kabila is the one that you supported.
Yes.
Francis Kabila, that took over power. And then Francis Kabila and you guys, your relationship broke down for whatever reason, without going into the weeds. And then there was multiple wars where Rwanda was involved. And then he was shot by his bodyguard. His son, Joseph Kabila, took over. Then there was an election, and we have today's leader, Felix. We call him Felix because his last name is too difficult to pronounce.
Yes.
So Rwanda has a history in Congo. Now, this is where I try to break it down, and I see we've kind of framed the entire history, so to give at least listeners a bit more understanding of the story. But it's also very complicated in Congo. Congo, I feel, is like it's not even a country anymore. It's just, as heartbreaking it is, it's just a land full of minerals that so many different people have their hands into that pot. countries.
More those who
business.
gain more are from outside rather than from inside.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's how I see Congo.
Yeah.
And it's on your border. So you're all over the media now, and every single journalist that interviews is like, are you in Congo? Is Rwanda involved in Congo? Are you supporting M23? Without really understanding the context.
Mhm.
So I'll tell you my understanding of it, and I'd love you to correct me and
Yes,
give me more
please.
context.
Mhm.
So you have a threat on your border. That threat still houses the FDLR, the same people that committed the genocide 30 years ago. They're still there on your border.
Mhm.
Their goal is to still replace you as president, replace the entire government right now, and to still get rid of Tutsis in Rwanda. So that's still their objective. And they're doing the same thing for Tutsis in Congo.
Mhm.
So the argument that Rwanda has concerns, security concerns, and you're still getting attacked by those groups on a regular basis is a very valid concern that no one's talking about for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Then there's the other argument of minerals. So the way I see it is there's all these different hands, some corrupt, some good, some bad, that are, some of them committing horrendous crimes to get access to the minerals in Congo, because it's such a wealthy country. And there's no real way of doing business with Congo. So the way I see it is there is a financial incentive for the Rwandan military or the government to be involved in Congo as well. And your preference is to do it above board. You want to do a deal with Congo, whoever's in charge, and get rid of that security threat, but also be able to do business because you're landlocked. You have people to take care of, 13 million population. You have minerals in Rwanda, just not as much, not even close as much as Congo. So the conclusion that I came to with my limited knowledge is, you don't think the current government is doing the best job. You think that they operate in a country that everyone wants it to be unstable because that's how they get access to the minerals.
Mhm.
You think the leader of the Mr. Nanga, who's the leader of the AFD, which is the M23 is part of, he's also technically the leader of M23. He could become a better leader than the current president. My conclusion is that the Rwandan forces are involved with M23. Potentially, you last time you asked, you said you don't know if there's troops there. I come to the conclusion that there is troops there for security concerns and potentially to be able to do business. That's the only way. And your end goal is for Congo to be stable, a country that's 10 times bigger than you, for Congo to be stable, even more prosperous than you if that's possible, and to do business with Congo a peaceful way.
Mhm.
But you're not able to reach a path to that. So that's my conclusion. I might have gotten many things wrong. I'd love to get your thoughts on everything.
I think you've kind of summarized the things quite well. But let me also try to say this. If you looked at the list of 100 entities, 100 from wherever, China, Europe, US, Canada, and so on, including all of us in the region, who are interested in minerals in the Congo, Rwanda would come as 100th, would come at the bottom. If you ranked them 1, 2, 3, this one. But the situation is such that it has been made to look like the ones least concerned with the minerals have been the ones accused for the entire problem of these 100 who get billions and billions and leave nothing behind. So Rwanda has come to be the ones to absorb it. So that is
to absorb all the blame.
Because those that whole line up to the 99th and the people who have the power of the media, of everything. And for them, they're also benefiting from the bad politics of Congo. And most of these people probably have a share in the companies formed together with Tshisekedi.
President Felix.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is one.
Mm.
So our problem is not minerals. It has nothing to do with minerals. Ours is about security. And once we are not assured of our security and long term, we can't be thinking about minerals in that situation. No, that would be the last thing on our minds.
Mm.
Now, the second problem that combines with that, because of that history, we said, of the people of the Congolese of Rwandese origin, but carved out by the border, and the governments in Kinshasa all the time use this pretext and say, first of all, they say they want to get rid of these people. And this came with this FDLR, those who committed genocide, went to Congo 30 years ago. They work with politics and politicians in DRC. They go against these, they single out the Tutsis in Eastern Congo. And they cause them problems, but they want to cause them problems and eventually cause problems to Rwanda. Now, these are things we have discussed with everyone, whichever government that has come to Congo since after Mobutu.
So that includes Kabila, the one that you've helped get into power, and his son.
And even Tshisekedi and Felix.
What does Felix say? Like, I know publicly he calls you Hitler and he says all these.
I think he has a genocide ideology like
Do you think so? He's that extreme?
I think so. He is.
Have you spoken to him privately?
I have spoken to him like 100 times before these problems.
Was there any common ground? Like was there any?
Yeah, we discussed even when he became president. By the way, I don't mind how he became president. He was not elected both times. The first time he was handed over power by
Joseph.
Yes, there's no question about it. The second, he just declared himself, and that was and told everybody to shut up, and that's what happened.
Okay.
So, but that's not my problem. It is a problem.
I think Africa has bigger problems than getting to democracy.
But when you look at it, let's go back to UN a bit again. The UN has been there now for about 24 years. Has been in Congo. The UN, even currently, it is there. They have had about 17 to 18,000 peacekeepers, so-called, in that place from different countries. Some from Latin America, others from North Africa, others from Asia, they're all over. They have spent, if you calculate the amount of money spent on that mission over that year, over that period of 24 years, it's close to 40 billion. Now, the question number one is, what did they actually come to do? To keep peace? Which peace is there? To bring peace? Which peace have they brought? To solve the problem concerning the one of security of these FDLR that have lived there for the last 30 years? Nothing.
So why are they there?
The only thing they did relating to this, they have over time repatriated some FDLR and their families.
Back to Rwanda?
Back to Rwanda. It's on record. It's recorded. The rest, I don't know.
So why are they there, in your opinion?
This is the whole thing. This is the crookedness of the whole international system we're talking about.
So
I can't answer.
So essentially, there's so many, as you said earlier, there's so many hands in the pot when it comes to Congolese minerals. That
So many.
So the only, and they're non-governmental hands, yes? Or governmental as well, both. Some smaller governments, but
it's
a lot of
both.
private companies, yeah?
It's both. It's
Okay.
very much governmental, even those governments from outside. So they create something, UN peacekeeping force, humanitarian this, and then to cover up everything else that is being. So because when you ask, you say, yeah, we are helping the people in the camps. When they do this, you say, no, but you see, we put some FDR on the trucks and carry them to Rwanda. This is what has cost 40 billion. Yes,
and on top of that, tens of thousands of lives as well.
Yes.
Like what the story.
But if you ask them, you say, what security did you bring to Rwanda concerning them relating to FDR? There's nothing. That's why they are still there. That's why they were being brought into the country, those who were captured during this fighting just 2-3 days ago.
Yeah, I heard that the last few days there's a general that was part of the.
That is the one I told you who killed my own aunt.
Which I didn't know she was also royalty.
Yeah, she was. She's a cousin sister to my mother.
Okay, so based on what you've said so far, I try to always kind of put myself in your shoes. Obviously, it's a lot harder than it sounds. But your solution would be to support a group that could either create a security buffer zone on the border.
Let me tell you this. We have been demanding for years, and we'll keep doing so until we get it. Our borders, this time and particularly with DRC, must be secure from these people. And the world knows about and has ignored. There's no question about it.
So they've essentially left you no choice.
That's what it means. And we have, but by the way, let me say something else. This fighting that started 3 years ago did not start with Rwanda. Those guys who started the fighting did not come from Rwanda.
You're talking about M23?
M23. Their problem was there in 2012. So the problem came back 10 years after. It means in between, nobody addressed their problem, neither Kinshasa nor anybody else. And they are the ones who started the fighting. The way it is brought, the way Rwanda is brought into it, is by saying, these are Tutsis. It's like you wanted to finish them one way or the other, either by sending the entire group to Rwanda to live there and leave us alone, leave Congo, or kill them and finish them. So that didn't happen. So it making it difficult to get rid of them into Rwanda or to kill them entirely, Rwanda is the one that made it impossible. So we should be blamed for that. Yeah.
One question I asked as I did my homework is, I'm like, why would the president, from the outside, and I think you'd agree, is that it looks very evident that that Rwanda's supporting M23. And I'm saying this myself, so you're not saying it.
I wouldn't even run away from. It depends on what you see. Why sometimes we have been vague and so on. I'll tell you this.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love you to tell me. And I think I know why as well.
You see, if they keep saying, "Are you in Congo?" and I say yes, that becomes
they blame you for everything.
The only problem, and
exactly.
That is the end.
Exactly. That's what I learned.
So this one, so it even has legal implications. They see, he even said it. And the other problems, why Rwanda could have gone there or why they could have done this, all those problems are forgotten. The only problem is, why are you in Congo?
And they blame everything that's happening in Congo. It's been happening for decades, with all these different groups fighting, all these different countries with their hand in Congo. Everything's gone because Rwanda said that small country with 13 million people said they have troops, or they have not troops, sorry, they're supporting M23.
All the minerals that have been worth billions and billions, they say, you see, the whole money was taken by Rwanda. For us, we are.
Yeah, that's what I learned. I was really confused on
it. No, that's the reason.
Because you're a very direct person, so you're always very honest, very open, very direct. Your team.
I tried even on that to be direct, because I said Rwanda has taken defensive measures. It's up to anybody to interpret whether that means I went into Congo, or I'm very close, or I'm...
But they want that soundbite.
They want that soundbite.
I don't. I'm intentionally trying not to get that soundbite.
I can't give it to them.
I don't exactly, because it's a very in an unethical way of having a discussion. Instead of trying to understand the issue, you try to get the soundbite so you get the clicks, and it's just a very disingenuous way of having those discussions.
Yes, that's so. Otherwise,
I like when they ask you, "Is there Rwandan troops in Congo?" I don't know. You're the president. How do you not know? I was like, I don't know many things.
Many things, including why somebody would be asking me that question when he knows the truth.
Exactly. So. But what is the solution? Like for me, what always drives me to have these discussions is always try to find solutions. I'm a bit naive because I simplify very complicated problems. But sometimes simplification helps you get some progress. So when you look at Congo, how can we solve it? Like, can it be solved?
It can be solved. Even if it wouldn't be solved in a perfect manner, but it can be solved at least to give everyone peace. Let me start with what it is now. Now, what is needed is for parties involved and others who want to support to stop the fighting, have a ceasefire. 2, it is to find a process that resolves political issues peacefully. And that will require the leaders of Congo to take the bull by its horns and accept the reality and say, I must talk to these Congolese opposed to me. I must listen to them and what are their grievances. Even if they picked out of 10 grievances and they picked 6 and said, okay, on these ones we agree. On the other 4, we don't agree. That's progress. Now, 3, they must recognize the security concerns of Rwanda and address them because they are based in Congo, and in fact, they've been associated with the Congolese government. So there must be recognition of that. Now, the rest would come under that. Even if we got a minimum on the 3 or 4, ceasefire, political concerns addressed of the Congolese, they can come to the format later on, if that is. Then security concerns of Rwanda, they are not going to be negotiated.
So, but what is President? If you tell this to President Felix, what does he say? Like, he has no incentive to.
He keeps saying it publicly. He says he will never talk to these ones fighting him. He has to finish the problem militarily.
But why?
I can't be responsible for what is in his head or not there. I can't be responsible for that. I really don't know. I can only say what I and yeah, but even those countries that have interests in Congo, it's their right to have interests there. They should also find that their interests would be served better by solving these problems and in this manner.
What do you think of this potential solution? You're kind of taking it from Trump's playbook with Ukraine. So President Trump is like, hey, I'll protect you, Ukraine. I'll help you reach peace in a way that favors you to a certain level. But in return, I want access to your minerals. Couldn't the Congolese government do deals like this? Say, go to Europe, go to the US, say, we'll go to Rwanda, go to different countries that are involved in one way or another. Say, let's do a deal. M23 lays down their arms. We do a deal. We'll remove the FDLR from your border. And we'll do a business deal with the minerals in Eastern Congo. Okay. And then they go to the US, give us security guarantees with all these different militias and stuff. So they go, they stop fighting, and all these different private companies that are weaponizing them, get them out of the way. And you'll have rights to the mines in that territory. That seems like again,
sounds interesting. Maybe it would address the problem, as long as one of those things you have mentioned is about somebody credibly guaranteeing that security concerns of Rwanda will be addressed and on a durable basis. The rest, that for me, I pick that one first, and then the rest is I'm open for discussion.
Yeah. And you've met many world leaders. You've met Putin. You've met Xi Jinping, different US presidents.
I've ever met, yes, even President Trump.
Trump as well. I think it was in Davos.
In Davos.
Davos, yeah. Has that idea ever been discussed with any leader?
No.
Okay.
So please try and raise it. With these leaders.
It could be interesting to discuss.
Interested in pursuing it.
Yeah, I think the deal is happening in Ukraine. And what is their take on, for Xi Jinping, someone you've met on more than one occasions, what's his perspective on what's happening in Africa? I think we talk a lot about
there are
the
many
West.
perspectives. I'm actually impressed by his perspectives. He's been engaged in Africa. He's been mainly economically. They don't get involved in the politics of countries except economic, which again, the benefits of that will depend on how the very countries are managed. If it is a country managed well and has deals with China, they benefit. If it is a country not managed well, I don't know what happens. Because when you've heard that some countries are heavily indebted and so on and so forth, well, I would ask the countries, where did you put the money? But otherwise, is anybody expecting China to go around throwing money at people? No.
But they're not too interested in peace. Have they tried?
They cannot. It can't be that they are not interested in peace when they are making such investments.
Okay, so they're interested. Okay,
yeah.
But is it active efforts from China to try to reach peace in Congo, for example?
They have not been involved with matters of Congo.
It's too complicated.
Even for other countries, that have countries. Have problems like where we are involved, like in Central African Republic or Mozambique. And I haven't heard of China suggesting that it should be resolved like this or like that, but they are busy doing business deals and with these governments.
When was the last time you spoke privately, if you can share with us, to President Felix?
This must have been 2021.
Oh wow, it's been a long time.
22.
Very long time.
22.
Oh, so you haven't spoken to him recently?
Yeah, actually, I think September 22.
Are you open to speak to him again?
I'm not opposed to speaking to him, but we have to be saying things that matter to the two countries and that are geared towards addressing the problems. I have no problem. But making deals with Tshisekedi is...
Making deals with what?
With Tshisekedi, with Felix?
It's very difficult.
It's the most difficult thing. The most... I am just challenging anybody. I want to see anybody who has made a deal with him and he would say, you are telling lies. I would want to see that. On the contrary, I have dealt with him. I know. You say you agree something, just as he steps out the door.
So it's the issue of leadership.
Out of the room. It's completely either forgotten, changed, or some we would say, no, we didn't say that.
Association of leadership.
Yes.
We've tackled a lot of topics. I think the story of how you've rebuilt a country from scratch or below scratch is, a perfect symbol of hope for other African countries. Now, I hope Congo, Sudan, other countries go down a similar path, because I know the atrocities that are going on there. I also hope the world starts to pay attention to what's happening in Africa. Similar things. If 10% of what's happening in Africa happens in some Asian countries are similar, but in Asia or Europe or the US or Latin America, it'll be all over the news. Literally, your team told me yesterday there's dead bodies being burnt and eaten in Congo on a regular basis. I didn't know these things still exist. I thought those were ended 10, 20, 30 years
They
ago.
happen.
It's heartbreaking. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate being as open as you have been, and I hope if we meet again, it'll be under different circumstances. And I hope that.
All right, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. If you guys want to call in, add to the conversation, you can. Again, link is in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to. Please click on the link if you want to call in and add to the convo. And please hit that like button, and we'll wait a minute or two for people to call in. Links in the chat room. Go ahead, Skylar.
Yeah, can you hear me that?
I hear you.
Yeah, can you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we was talking about like when Trump was in his first term, he forced his deal to take secondhand clothes, and Paul Kagame, he didn't want that. He wanted his own. He has his own manufacturing, and that's when Trump sanctioned him in his first term. So yeah, he talked about it in his interview. But like Trump already sanctioned Paul Kagame one time for him not wanting to take in secondhand clothes. So again, he this idea that he's propped up by America, he's propped up by America is just not true, pretty much. All these companies, Germany sanctioned him, the UK sanctioned him. What else? Belgium sanctioned him. Like all these Western countries are sanctioning him. So how is he a puppet still? And the Congolese, they're more mad at Paul Kagame than they are about Belgium. They keep calling Paul Kagame King Leopold, but where's like but they're perfectly fine with Belgium. Like where's like the Congolese memorial for all the people that died to Belgium, King Leopold. There's a genocide memorial for Rwanda, but there's no genocide memorial for all the Congo that was genocide by Belgium, pretty much. Yeah, what do you think, Dennis?
Repeat that last part again. Yeah, so there's there's a genocide memorial. Go ahead.
There's a genocide memorial for Rwanda, but to my knowledge, there's no genocide memorial for the Congo. Like every time people go to Rwanda, Paul Kagame makes you pay tribute to the genocide. You see that all the time with John Legend. Like if you go to Rwanda, he makes you pay tribute to the victims of genocide. Like I've never seen that with the Congo. Unless someone can correct me on that.
Mulatto Rights, go ahead.
Peace, and thanks for having me up. Really, I'll keep it brief as possible. To all the Congolese listening, the ones that are living outside of the Congo, particularly the ones in the U.S., Canada, the UK, and the rest of Europe, with all due respect, why aren't y'all in Congo helping to bring peace, to stabilize your country and protect your resources? And if there are any Congolese in the chat right now listening, please come up on the panel and discuss some ideas and ways and tactics on how you all can return back to Congo and protect your resources and stabilize your country and make peace in your country. Respectfully.
Louise, go ahead.
Hello,
Hello.
Prince Dynast. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
All right. So, as you know, I am from Rwanda. So I'm particularly interested in the topic, and I have always been so profoundly interested in the topic because it concerns me directly, and I have lived and survived the wars, the massacres, the genocide. So I have all my life particularly been fascinated by this interest and been relentless in my quest to find the truth for the sake of understanding what happened to my country, to my people, to my nation, to my entire continent, so much so that we became so famous around the world for all the wrong things. So my quest is also spiritual. I want to find a solution and I want to know why. So I'm very happy to report that I have done extensive research and that I have a new book, which you can see in the cover, called Imana East, Know Thy Divine Rights. And I have done extensive research on Rwanda, on Congo, on Africa, on Black America, the journey that Black America has suffered, the quest for freedom, the quest for Uhuru, your name. And I'm ready to answer your questions. I'm ready to share my knowledge, my research, because our ancestors were always about knowledge. Knowledge is going to bring us freedom. So I have knowledge, I have wisdom. I'm old now. I survived the genocide in Rwanda. I was a teenager. I was just partying that day. And then all of a sudden, our lives were completely destroyed and changed forever. And we became refugees. I've been a refugee in Canada. I live in Canada. I'm a Canadian. And so let's talk.
Skylar, go ahead. I know you have some questions.
If somebody has a question, I'd be happy to
No.
answer.
Somebody can go. Go ahead.
Skylar,
Casanova, go ahead.
yeah, Skylar, this is an actual Wandan, so I know you.
Yes.
I know
Oh,
you've been, I know you corrected questions towards Call, who's a Congolese, but
Nah, there's some Rwandans that are like children of like people who committed the genocide and they went to Belgium and Canada. So like it depends on who's who. Like some Rwandans that live in Rwanda are great, but like there are some like are children of the genocide that fled to Belgium pretty much and fled to Canada. So I don't know like who's who. Like so yeah.
what
But
was that your question, Skylar?
no. Okay. Who? Okay. So, do you know the first president of Rwanda? Gregory. Gregory. What's the name? Gregory.
Kaibanda, I will be helping you, Skylar. Gregoire
Um.
Kaibanda.
Oh, call. Okay. Oh, great. Call. Great. You're here. Is it okay? I ask. Call some question, Dynast.
Well, no, well, you got a
Ask-
Rwandan on the
ask
panel.
Okay.
Ask
No.
Rwandan,
Okay.
Skylar.
Okay. Louisa, do you know who Gregory Kayabanda is?
I have studied history, so I do know who the first president of Rwanda, Gregoire Kayibanda, was.
Okay. And how did he died?
He was killed by the president who replaced him. He was overthrown, and then he was imprisoned, I think, in his own house, and he was made to starve, and he was left to die on his own. That's how he died.
Yeah, and it was Habarama, right? The one that shot down the plane. Habarame, who was Hutu, pretty much.
Juvenal Habyarimana.
Yeah, and he Tutsi or Hutu?
Can you tell me what is a Hutu? What is a Tutsi?
The Tutsi were the one. Paul Kagame, he fled, the monarchy fled. But I'm talking about Habarame. Like why was he fighting RPF? Like Habarame. I'm trying to like the
Habyarimana.
people in
It's okay.
Habar. Yeah, but the group that was in power. Like again, the Tutsi, the first Rwanda was a Tutsi monarchy. Then the Tutsi monarchy was disbanded, and then the Hutu came in power. You're aware of that, Louise?
My name is Louise Uwachu. You can call me Louise. You can call me Uwachu. You can call me Ausares.
Okay,
And
Louise. Yeah.
yes, it sounds like you have basic knowledge of Rwanda and you're just repeating the same basic stuff, the Hutu, the Tutsi. But if I asked you to define what is a Hutu and what is a Tutsi, would you be able to tell me what is a Hutu and what is a Tutsi?
To me, they're the same people, but because of right now the situation, people are blaming the Tutsis in the Congo, and plus, you know, the whole plane being shot down is a massive source of contention in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. So that's why I'm trying to talk about that and just get that straightened out. Yeah, yeah, that's why pretty much. To me, there's no difference, but you know, people like on call, he believes the Tutsi like Arabs and Ethiopians and the whole Hamitic
Lie,
theory.
lie, scholar, lie. Don't
Well,
lie.
okay,
Don't
the
lie
Hamitic
on me.
theory. All right, do you
Don't
believe the
lie on
Hamitic
me.
theory? All right, I'm sorry about that. Do you believe the
Don't
Hamitic
lie on
theory?
me. Don't
Basically,
lie
the
on me.
Hamitic theory is Tutsis are Arabs, and
Let
they're
me help you,
Ethiopians as
scholar.
well.
Let me help you, scholar. Let me help you. Luis, can you help our brothers here to
Well,
explain them?
hold on. Well, let me ask Louise: Are you Hutu or Tutsi?
But this is what we were trying to establish. You guys do not even know what is a Hutu and what is a
Oh,
Tutsi.
okay. So, Louise,
Can
okay,
we even go to the basic? Have you guys
what,
even ever
what,
Can
done
you
any
stop being
research
deceptive and let
to
us
know
know?
what is a Hutu, what is a Tutsi?
Well,
Because
can you
people keep
define it just
repeating
so we
this,
know?
and they don't even know what it is.
okay,
Can you
Louise,
define it?
hold on. Which ethnic group are you?
I don't have an ethnic group. My family is both ethnic groups, so I am all of them.
Well, can you describe what a Hutu and a Tutsi is, please?
So I have done extensive research, and I've written about it in this new book that you see the picture on the thing, and um, the Hutus and the Tutsis originally, and this actually in terms of Black America, because I know that Prince Dynast has Black America, or you yourself being Black American. Uh, have you ever studied this guy who has written about racism and white supremacy? His name is Neely Fuller Jr. Do you have you ever heard about him? He wrote about the racist. He
We
has
know
like,
who he is, sis. We know who
you
he
know
is.
who he is, right? And did you ever hear him talk about how racism and white supremacy is the number one issues in the world? And if you do not understand this issue, you will not be able to understand any other issue that's happening around the world.
We're familiar with the quote, but what's a Hutu and a Tutsi? Or are you saying the white man created that?
So I'm about to share the knowledge and the research that I have done into it so that you may be
Thank
able
you.
to understand it better. Because even the way that Neely Fuller Jr. talks about, he's like, this idea of racism, white supremacy was invented precisely to bring confusion so that people may be confused. And when we are confused, we cannot rebuild, we cannot build a civilization. Like, it's even on a spiritual level. And then he explains how racism, white supremacy being the number one problem, if we are to understand our problems, that we need to research and find out the relationship between racism and white supremacy with our own issues. So I read the books for Nelly Fuller Jr. I speak about it in my own book. I even spoke to him personally as an author, because I have a talk show. I wanted to interview him on my show. And then I went into the research of, okay, how is racism in relation to the Rwandan problem, to the Hutu and the Tutsi problem, so that maybe people may be able to understand it better, and so that even us as Rwandans, we can find a solution and we can exist as a nation beyond this division and confusion that has been brought upon our nation. So, what is the relationship between racism, white supremacy, and the tribalism and problem of the Hutu and the Tutsi, which brought me to research the original meaning of being a Hutu, being a Tutsi, and being a Twa. There's a third tribe in Rwanda that people never even talk about, which is the Twa. And what is the relationship of these tribes? Where do they come from? So, which led me into even the foundational myth of Rwanda as a nation. How did Rwanda begin as a nation? How did we begin as a people? Because Rwanda, we actually qualify to be a nation. We are one people, one language, one culture, one supreme being, Imana, which is part of the title of my book. So how did we become so divided to the point of getting to a genocide that is known as the genocide against the Tutsi? And who are these Tutsi? Who are these Hutus? Originally, the creation myth of Rwanda is about Imana sending Kanyarwanda to Rwanda, and then Kanyarwanda has three children, and those three children are Gatwa, Gahutu, and Gatutsi. So in the myth, these three children are sent to find knowledge that will save the nation, because despite that Kanyarwanda and his family lived in Greenland, Rwanda, pretty much in paradise. And those who have studied ancient Kemet, I have connected ancient Kemet to Rwanda. You know that Rwanda is part of Ta Neter, the origin of the ancient Kemet civilization, Ta Neter. Congo is also part of Ta Neter, and Uganda. So when Rwandans were starving in Rwanda, despite Rwanda being a green land, the Kanyarwanda sent his three children, Gatwa, Gahutu, and Gatutsi, to Chimenyi, who is knowledge, to find knowledge as to how Rwanda was going to exist. And it was according to how those children behaved on the path that they were rewarded. And then being a Tutsi originally in Kinyarwanda was about class and leadership, was about being responsible for the country, having a vision. And then being a Hutu was about being a worker, working in agriculture. And also the Tutsi were responsible for taking care of the cows. And the cow in our culture is our original currency. Before the predators came to colonize and conquer Africa and confuse Africans by creating another currency, this currency that they control by printing currency paper, and then they bring it to Africa as debt and aid. Before we fell for that currency, our original currency was the cow. And the cow is sacred because there's a lot of other things related to the cow. So the Tutsi became the class of the people who take care of the cow, and the Hutu became the class of the people who are in charge of agriculture, and the Twa became the class of the people who are in charge of the art. And all these class of people, you can see them in ancient Kemet. I have shown them in my new book because I have established the connection between Rwanda and ancient Kemet and the rest of Africa using our own Kinyarwanda language that you can see for yourself when you see my research. So this is what it was. Now, white
Miss Louise,
supremacy
I'm sorry.
comes in. I'm getting to the white supremacy part. The invaders, the colonizers come into Rwanda. And I tell people that the very first time that the Europeans came into Rwanda is actually 100 exactly to date from the date that 1994 the genocide happened. So the very first man to step into Rwanda came to Rwanda in 1894, and this was after the Germans. These are the Germans exploring, trying to find the source of the River Nile, because Rwanda is actually host to one of the furthest source of the River Nile. As you know, the River Nile goes all the way to Egypt. And so all Rwandans are actually Nilotic, when they speak about Nilotic, and when they speak about Bantu. All Rwandans are also Bantu, because Bantu is just Abantu to speak about humans. And Nilotic is in relationship to the Nile, to the River Nile. So everyone, all the people, the Nile civilization, the Nile finding its source in Tanetel, the Great Lakes region, which Rwanda is part of. One of the sources of the Nile is in Rwanda. So the Europeans came to Rwanda looking for the source of the Nile, pretty much having known Egypt already and having enslaved Black America for hundreds of years. Haiti got liberated in 1804. That was 90 years before we ever saw a white man in Rwanda. I established this in my book so that people can even understand Rwanda from ancient times, from history, because people tend to speak about Rwanda only from 1994 as if we're a nation that has started to exist from 1994. No, we are a very ancient nation, and the confusion
Miss
is
Louise,
also
please
when you start
can
our
I ask you a
history in
question?
the middle. Can
Can
I
I ask you a
finish
question,
and tell
please?
you the white supremacy part? Because I had to establish the background. So how does white supremacy come to confuse Rwanda and become in relationship with the Hutu and the Tutsi issue? The white people come to Rwanda. They find a very organized kingdom, a clean cultured people, precisely the same amazement that people have today when they go to Rwanda. Oh, these people are so clean, so organized. That is how we have been since ancient times. And people have always been astonished, like, oh my God, Rwanda is so beautiful, so organized, so clean, so in order. That is our culture, and that is ancient Kemet culture. We have conserved this culture in Rwanda. So the Europeans come to Rwanda, they see this high civilization, they see the monarchy, and then they identify the monarchy as Tutsi because of their misunderstanding of the Rwandan culture and the Rwandan history. They then create a new way of defining Tutsi. They actually change the definition of what it means to be a Tutsi. They take it from being something that is out of meritocracy because you are intelligent, because you are rich, because you are an employer. That's why you qualify to being a Tutsi. They change it to simply being tall and having a nose, and they change it to someone who has 10 cows. They divide Rwanda between Hutu and Tutsi. They define a new Hutu and Tutsi, and they classify, this is where it's important, they classify the Tutsi as white because they wanted to corrupt Rwandans and to divide Rwanda and to destroy the Rwandan monarchy, which it was so strong and had a hold on Rwanda. They start by lying to the Rwandan monarchy that you are not like the Hutus. You are Tutsi, you are special, you are white like us. Let us help you. The Rwandan monarchy falls into the trap of racism, white supremacy, and the invention of Tutsi supremacy. And this becomes the beginning of the poison that poisons Rwanda and creates division. And it will take 100 years for Rwanda to be destroyed and to reach to the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994. So this is the background. I can take more questions, but there's so much to unpack here. But like I say, I've done so many years of research and read so many books, and that's why I'm publishing a new book in which I tell you all about this and I tell you all my sources.
That's powerful information. And I just have one brief question. Before the arrival of the Caucasians, the Europeans, and what we now know as Rwanda, was there a hierarchy between the Twa, the the Hutus, and the Tutsis? Was there a hierarchy of one over the other, or did they just have different positions in society?
Well, the Rwandan culture is an elitist society. So, where they want the best to rise and where they want the best and the richest to rule, but where also you are capable, you can be born as a toi, your family has nothing, but if you work and you become rich and you start having employers and you have land and you have cows, you become a Tutsi because you have become an employer and now you start employing other people. People used to wake up and go and look for jobs to people who are identified as Tutsi and serve them. And then over time, they would earn their capital. What is their capital? Remember, our currency was the cow. So these are people who are working and then they get rewarded by the capital, which is the cow. And then they themselves can eventually become Tutsis through their work, through working and becoming rich and then becoming employers. So you could actually design the Tutsi as the class of employers, because and employers are always going to be the minority. When they talk about the Tutsis being the minority, they are always going to be the minority because the employers, the rich and the elite are always going to be the minority. The working class, the Hutu being the majority, they are always going to be the majority.
Okay, Louise, Omkal here. I have a question. My question, so that you
Mhm.
can clarify also this. A lot of our brothers, they have a confusion in this. In the before the downing of the plane, or even in that journal, which it's a crime against humanity. It hurts all of us, everybody. It's something which we all regretted, and it's something which shouldn't repeat itself. Did Paul Kagame had a hand in it? Can you explicit that? Like, did he commit any massacre, or did he command like any KIA, any unaliving people in the North Platte, which he had occupied already? Did he have an end? I mean, in a hand in a downing of the plane? If you can explicit that.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, this has been one of the most heartbreaking things to find out. Okay. Um, because Kagame seems to he himself have this mentality, not have received enough good education, not to be a tribalist, Tutsi supremacist. Because this idea of tribalism and Tutsi supremacism is a poison that a lot of people have swallowed, you know, and this is something that people will have to get educated out of. So, unfortunately, what has happened in the Rwandan society is that the Rwandan people kept falling into those traps, into those new identities that define them according to how they look. Not even according to what they can accomplish or their brains, or if they're employers or non-employers. And so they eventually inherited those false identities that destroy them, and then they adopted them. And some people became tribalists and they campaign for their tribe. You see people, they're like, oh, I am Tutsi, I'm defending the Tutsi. I'm Hutu, I'm defending the Hutus. So my family actually being mixed is one of the things that has helped me to rise above the Hutus, rise above the Tutsis, and only search for the truth, because the truth is what is going to help our entire nation. So what I have discovered about Kagame and his movement, this is highly documented by Judy River in Praise of Blood, the crimes of the Rwandan Patriotic Front, Michaela Wrong, Charles Nana, Patrick Mbeko. All these are authors that I have read and researched, who has published their findings. Unfortunately, Kagame plotted to assassinate two African presidents, and him assassinating two African presidents, bringing down the airplane that was carrying the Rwandan president and the Burundi president, who are identified as Hutus, who were identified as Hutus. is what has been said as the spark of the genocide, which means that there were already tensions between the Hutus and the Tutsis.
Is there any proof to that he brought the plane down?
Yes, Sharon Nana has wrote a book extensively talking about how he brought the plane down and how the RPF is responsible for bringing the plane down. And RPF military people such as Abdul Ruzibiza have testified themselves that they are the ones who brought the plane down. I have interviewed Kagame's bodyguard on my UNI talk show, who talks about how they brought the plane down and how they celebrated after they brought the plane down. When Sharon Nana wrote about how Kagame is the one who brought the plane down, first, the Rwandan state attacked Charles Nana in justice in the courts in France. His book is in French. He attacked Charles Nana in the courts in France, and Charles Nana said, yes, bring it on. Because if we go to court, because Kagame was saying that it's defamation, this is why I'm even comfortably saying it on your show publicly. Paul Kagame assassinated 2 African presidents. I, Ausaris Louise Wachu, I am saying it publicly on your show. Let him take me to court for defamation. He cannot, because I'm
Right,
speaking
but
the truth.
Yeah,
So he
hold up.
took Onana to court. Let me finish. He took Onana to court for writing about it and for saying it, which is what gives us the confidence to speak about it. And then Onana said, yes, let's go to court in France. This is a known case. And then
He
when they
lost.
went to court, Paul Kagame himself and the state of Rwanda, at the very last minute, they refused to go to court. They withdrew the claim that it was defamation. He therefore admitting that they were the ones who shot down the plane and
That's not
giving
admitting.
Onana
Now,
permission to
Dinus,
write
That's not
an
an
entire
admission of
book.
guilt.
There's an entire
Dinus, can I
book about
respond?
it. Onana has an entire book about
Yeah.
it.
Remember,
Giving
Dinus,
him
can I
the
respond real
permission
quick?
to publish an entire book
I got
about
something
it.
to say.
okay,
Can I
even
speak real quick?
Madam the
No,
prosecutor.
no.
Yeah,
Hey, can we
wait,
speak real quick? Let me speak.
Skylar, you've
No, hold
spoken.
on. No,
Hold on.
I know I haven't. I've been waiting
Can
here.
I speak
Can
as
I?
well a bit? Even
No.
the prosecutor,
I
the
gotta
first
respond to
prosecutor,
this.
Carla Del
No,
Ponte,
Dinus, can I respond real
who
quick,
did
please?
investigate. You know, do you remember even
Dinus,
Michael
Dinus,
Hurigan?
very important.
Is
Hold
Dinus,
there
on.
any?
Dinus.
Go ahead,
There is
Skylar.
no.
Well,
No,
let
there is.
Skylar
Dinus,
respond.
No. Let me speak. Let me
Let
speak.
Skylar respond to Louise. Go
Let me
ahead,
speak.
Skylar.
There is no evidence that Paul Kagame shot down the plane. If you listen to the lady, she never tell you any evidence. They all cite the same book,
I
Jody
give
Rivers.
you the book so
Let
you
me.
can
Yeah,
read. You
same
can
same
read
thing with
the book
on-call,
and
right?
see
Same
all
thing
the
with on-call.
evidence.
They give
Let
you
me
a
speak
book.
about the
let,
No.
evidence if
Let
you
me
want to
speak. Let me
know.
speak.
Ask questions. Ask questions.
Let me speak. Let me speak. Okay. So again, I brought up Gregory. I forgot his name, Gregory, in the first place for a reason, Dinus. Gregory was a Hutu from the north. He came after the Tutsi monarchy was overthrown. The Tutsi monarchy, that's Paul Kagame's family. So Paul Kagame left into Uganda and he formed RPF. So back in Rwanda. So the Hutus have power in Rwanda. So Gregory is the first president of Rwanda. He's a Hutu. And again, the person that killed him was Habarame. The next president. He was in the military. That's very important. Habarame was in the military that killed the Hutu president. So the Hutu general killed the Hutu president. That's very important. So Habarame was at war with the RPF. The RPF is in northern Uganda. So he made a peace treaty with the RPF, the Arusha Accord. And again, the Hutus are very divided. That's again the fact that Habarame killed the previous Hutu is proof that they're very divided, and there were Hutus against that deal, the Arusha Accord. Habarame and his prime minister, Madam Agatha, they were both pro Arusha Accord. There were people that didn't. There were Hutus that were not in favor of the Hutu Accord. He got on the plane, and again, the RPF is in the north. They're in the north, all the way outside of Kigali. The plane flew into Kigali and it was shot down. And again, nobody captured him. Nobody captured who shot down the plane. So then again, there's no evidence of who shot down. Nobody captured them. But again, if the RPS shot down a plane, how can they go all the way to Kigali and they just sneak in? They shoot down a plane. Nobody got caught. That makes no sense. But again, the presidential guard, they didn't capture the RPF. Then instead of them looking for who shot down the president, they went to go murder again the Hutu prime minister, the lady who was supposed to take it in over the president that was just shot down. So again, the previously before, the Hutu military killed the president the first time. Nobody knows who killed the second president, but again, the Hutu military killed the prime minister. It's keep showing a pattern that the Hutu military keep killing their own president and prime minister because they don't want peace. So again, but these guys will tell you that.
Hey, one second, Scholar. 1 second, Scholar. Hey, Pablo, you got a lot of background noise.
I'm laughing.
But go ahead, Scholar.
Yeah, that's why I question this lady's background. But
Okay,
again, they keep mentioning Judy. No, Uncle.
Can you finish
Uncle,
now?
I'm gonna ask you a
Somebody
question.
can speak.
No,
Dynasty,
Uncle.
Skylar, the only person who
No,
was on panel. Okay, I let
Uncle,
you.
who killed Gregory? Who killed Gregory, the first president of Rwanda? Who killed him?
All right,
Your
can I
question
answer
has
now?
already been answered. We
All
have
right,
already spoken about that. No
let me-
one disputes
let me even
anything
add
that
some
you
more
have
No, I
information.
want
Skylar.
Uncle. Yeah.
Hold on. I'll answer. Hold on. Because you see, Skylar, as I told you so many times, you've never done enough research even on Rwanda. You don't
He's
understand
repeating
anything on
superficial
Rwanda.
No, I
stuff
done
that
plenty.
he has learned.
Oh,
Just
yes.
repeating
Let me
superficial
explain to
things.
you. Do you think it was only in
It's
Rwanda
a
where?
fact. It's not
Hold
repeating.
on, Skylar. Do you think it's only in Rwanda where the military overthrew the president? I'll go. Let me use
No.
hold on. A sister country to Rwanda, Burundi. Do you know the first
Burundi,
president
yeah.
who was there? Michombero. Who overthrew Michombero? His cousin.
I think a Tutsi. Yeah.
Was they Hutu? No.
I
They
think
were
it's
all
Tutsi, right?
yes.
Right.
And then who overthrew Bagaza? It was Bagaza. Then who overthrew Bagaza? It was
The
Buyoya.
military. But
So
was he the military? Was he the military though?
listen now.
Was he the military?
Listen.
Was the
Hold
guy
down.
okay? Was the guy military?
Man, are you gonna keep interrupting somebody?
I'm
Is this?
asking. No, was he the military on call?
Let's have respectful debate, my friend. Let's have
I
respectful
do.
debate.
I
Hold on.
admit. Okay.
Listen. I'm telling you, I know Louise Uwachu, I followed her, there is something where I don't sometimes agree with her, but she is knowledgeable, especially on Rwanda. She knows more than me. So, this is the thing. Yes, in the 1960, 1970, even in the 80s, Africa, in all of Africa, it was time of when the coup d'etat. So, of course, Gregoire Kayibanda was overthrown by Habyarimana. The last time I told you that other than only research, even the missile itself, Sol Air missile. If you remember, Louis, the first investigator in Rwanda, it was Michael Hourigan, right? The Australian guy. He spoke out about this issue and who shot down the plane from his investigator, but it was suppressed by the United States, the Clinton gangs. Even the prosecutor, Carla Del Ponte, who was there, he communicated with ICC about this, that he was also suppressed until when they replaced all of them. So another example I gave you last time is like this. There are two camps. In the camps which you and the people who are in power, they have all the power and they are backers, they are accusing, there has never been even one person who has come out and they testify that, yes, we shot the plane, or even in court, or even under persecution, never. But in the camp, which you guys and NGO and their backers, the narrative on power, which are saying we never shot the plane. People who were there, people who you can trace that, yes, he was a bodyguard of Paul Kagame. Like even Alois Ruyenzi, you remember
One of them recant their statement. Yo,
Hold on.
No. Well, I know the guy you're talking about recanted. He said he made it up. He recanted his statement.
James Mnyandinda, who I think Osare is interviewed, he was there. They know. So there is overwhelming evidence that shows that it's Paul Kagame's group that shot down.
No, it's not. No, it's
just,
not. You have no, you're not. All you do have is
let me talk. I left.
I have a question real quick. I'm called. Scholar said that the guy recanted his statement. Is that true?
Which guy? There's no guy who has ever recanted his statement.
Look here.
Hold on. Let me show another one. Let me show you another thing.
That they were next to Paul Kagame when he shot down the plane.
But again, at the end of the day, this is all alleged.
No, it's not alleged.
It is alleged.
Listen. It's because the powerful are still protecting the guy, Paul Kagame.
Oh Lord.
Let me show you one. Let me show you another evidence. Let me show you another evidence. There was ballistic studies which was done. You know, ballistic study about the shooting.
Yeah.
All prove the same thing. Now,
No,
even
they
the
didn't.
missile.
No, they
Hold
didn't.
on,
They proved it was shot by the military.
Skylar, can you even
The
cite?
ballistic, no.
Listen, can
It
you
was,
cite Skylar?
hold up.
Hold on.
Dynast.
I'll cite.
Dynast.
Listen,
Dynast. Hold on. Let me say
Skylar.
something.
Well, it's
Skylar,
just,
you are
we
interrupting.
got to move on. It's a
Yes,
legend.
hold on. Let me
It's
finish.
no
Let me
proof.
finish.
It's a legend. Let me pass the
5
mic.
seconds.
Let
No,
me
5
pass the
seconds.
mic.
5 seconds.
Casanova, go ahead,
Dynast.
Casanova.
5
Casanova,
seconds.
go.
Dynast.
No, I'm passing the mic
Even
to
the
Casanova.
missile, the solar missile,
No,
was
it's just a legend. Casanova, go ahead.
from Uganda.
Casanova, go ahead, Casanova. Okay, Cash is not there. Go ahead, Pablo.
And Osara is
Pablo.
a Rwandan man. He's not
I'm
Congolese.
here, Dynast.
Just,
Go
but
ahead,
he's
Pablo.
the one
Go ahead, Cash. One mic. Go ahead, Casanova.
Peace, Dynast. As far as the topic of the show, I do agree that the problem is in the Congo's hands. I don't think it's Kagame's fault about what's going on. You know, like the destabilization of the Congo has been going on for a while now. I think if he's able to stabilize it, then so be it. Let him go in and stabilize it. It's better than Chinese or white folks getting away with all the proceeds. At least he keeps some of the resources to continental Africans. You know, that's the plus side to that. As far as the information that lady gave, it seemed like a lot of the information was accurate. You know, I'm not able to really, see if it is, but like most of it sounded like it was the truth. Like I had heard it before, But as far as them talking about him shooting down the plane and everything, I don't know about that. I don't know.
Yeah,
anything
that's
about
complete nonsense, though.
that.
And
Yeah,
again,
Well, let me. Kasha, you done or you got more to
yeah,
add?
I'm done.
Hey, Pablo, you have a lot of feedback in the background, like water or air conditioner. I don't. You got your AC unit running, but go ahead, Pablo.
All right, my bad. Let me turn off my headphones real quick.
Yeah, you're on your Obama phone, Pablo. Guys, hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Go ahead, Pablo.
All right, can you hear me now?
Nice and clear. Go ahead.
All right. First of all, every time we're talking about Congo and we're talking about Rwanda, I find it really, really convenient that somehow the conversation always goes away from France, Belgium, China, and everybody else, and it goes straight to Paul Kagame. And the people that are doing it is Africans. And just based on recent history, we saw they used Africans to take down Gaddafi. We just saw what happened, like with this whole USAID thing. We've seen how they're going to use another African to take down another African. And these people are not going to come with any solutions. Look at Iraq. Look at Afghanistan. I'm listening to some of these people. Do they even look at the global news? Do they even know what they're talking about? Congo is part of the whole global. First of all, Congo, the minerals that are coming out of Congo are directly responsible for the electric car boom that's going on right now. If you look at the tariffs that Trump just put on China, that's directly related to the electric cars. They got cars coming out, 8,000 brand new electric cars. That doesn't just affect the American or the global car space. That affects the fuel, the energy things. Look at what's going on in Sudan. Y'all don't even see how this is connected. But y'all want to talk about Paul Kagame? Like, are y'all serious? Look at Mozambique, the energy field. Out of nowhere, Al-Shabaab is over there attacking a natural gas field. These people are not going after regular people. They're going straight after the energy infrastructures. It just came out a month ago. The USAID is sponsoring all these terrorist organizations. But y'all want to talk about Paul Kagame? Get real. That's all I got to say.
All right, go ahead, Call. You can respond, Call.
All right. Yes, because on this question, I'll ask a question, Louise, so that she can help me to answer. Louise, do you think what is going on in Congo is as Paul Kagame has in hand in it, not like 100%. Me, for example, as a Congolese,
You see, there's a scapegoat
hold
again.
on, my friend. It's me. I blame my leader, Felix Tshisekedi, but I want to ask a Rwandan. Do you think
What
that
about
Paul
Belgium?
Kagame?
What about Belgium?
Wait, hold on. Let me ask. It's bro. Why? When it's my turn, you want to interrupt me, Louise? You are a Rwandan. You know. For me, I used to. I'm sorry. I used to think you as a Tutsi. I'm sorry. But I understand that you are mixed. So, do you think Paul Kagame has a hand in it, and why? And how? Can you please? Because I've spoke about it here. I want to hear your take. Please, Louise, you watch.
Yes. So this is precisely why it's important to expose the role of which I have personally nicknamed it the Kagamistan in Rwanda, because to me it's a criminal dictatorship. It's a totalitarian.
So you want the West to come in and intervene?
No.
Listen to her first, bro.
I want a solution. I want a solution because a lot of
we
these
still have time.
Yeah,
exactly.
A lot
my
of these
book,
people,
my
they
book
want
is about
Libya, they
solutions.
want Sudan, they want
Can you give it time?
destabilized
Hey,
Rwanda. That's what
let
they
her
want.
speak real quick.
Pablo, let her talk. Go ahead.
So Prince Dynasty, even the way I was inspired by his journey, I've been following him for a while. He knows I've interviewed him on my show. His name, Uhuru, this name is my quest. Uhuru means freedom. So
I'm
if
Kenyan.
you
I know what a who.
Louise, go ahead. Hey, Pablo, don't interrupt, please. I'm trying to hear her. Go ahead.
if we are in the search of Uhuru, if we are in the search of freedom, and we have that common aspiration, which political system, which leadership is truly about freedom. And I am so sorry to break your illusions and to wake you up from this dream that Paul Kagame is a great example, but he is not. Because a development,
So
a
who
role
is?
model for development, which develops itself
So who
by
is?
plundering our fellow Africans, by going to war and plundering our fellow Africans in order to build your own country. This is not a sustainable development model. If we are to develop as Rwanda, as Rwandans, as a nation, we need to learn how to develop ourselves without going to kill and plunder our neighbors so that we can take their wealth and then use that wealth to build ourselves and then broadcast ourselves to the rest of the world.
Are
Oh,
you
look
wearing
at
a
us.
wire?
Can I
Look
respond?
at us. We are so developed. We are so magnificent. And we are
You wearing
getting
a wire?
help from the international colonizers.
I
Paul
need
Kagame was brought to power by the USA and the UK. He came to the United States to learn, to study how to take over a country. Paul Kagame was trained by the CIA. Do
You're in
your
Canada.
research. So if you
Are you
are
wearing a wire?
talking about freedom in
Hey,
Africa
don't interrupt her, please.
and talking about leaders who will bring freedom, and then you are admiring someone who was brought into power by the Americans, by the UK, and Rwanda received a clean slate, all the debts of Rwanda, talking about economic success. But this is because all the debts of Rwanda were erased. Rwanda started off on a clean slate, and then
I
we
have to
got
respond to
so
this.
much aid, so many debts. The country is in debt. I care about the country being in debt and surviving off AIDS. Otherwise, why is it an issue that Rwanda is being sanctioned? Because when you're being sanctioned and you're a sovereign independent country which is rich, which does not rely on your neighbors plundering your fellow Africans in order to exist, or which does not rely on debt and aids from the foreigners, if they sanction you, are you going to complain? You're not going to complain. But right now, Paul Kagame is doing all these interviews, so much propaganda, buying everybody who can speak to him because he's worried, because Rwanda does not exist without the support of the USA and the UK. So it's actually ironic, like Omkal blaming his president, that he would go into a deal with the USA, because it is the USA which was behind Paul Kagame, which brought him into power. So the idea that the USA is going to protect Congo may be an illusion in itself. Congo needs other alliances that can make it stronger so that it can be able to withstand any attacks from anyone, be it Rwanda, be it anybody else. Congo needs to become a superpower militarily, precisely because it is a superpower economically. And why
Dinus, you
is
just gonna
Congo
let her babble
attacked
this
and
long?
destroyed? Let me tell you why Congo gets attacked and destroyed. Because the USA and all the powers need Congo, because the atomic bomb, what makes a superpower a superpower?
It's in Nigeria too.
In order to make the atomic bomb that they
Uranium is
destroyed
in Nigeria too.
Japan with, the two atomic bombs that the USA dropped in Japan, they took the resources, the natural resources from Congo.
It's
And
called
then after
uranium.
that,
Yeah,
the scientist, Einstein scientist, wrote, this is on the record, my people, wrote to the American president and said, we must do everything we can to make sure that the Congo does not become in control of its own resources. Otherwise, it will become a superpower. We must always do things to sabotage
That's
the
not what they
Congo
said.
so that it does not become a superpower, because otherwise, the Congo being in control of its own minerals, Africa will become a superpower. So
Can I
they
respond?
find all these Africans that they use as house
Let her finish
niggers.
on this one.
Kagame is one of the house niggers that the predators and the enslavers have used to destroy our fellow Africans. You speak
House
about
niggas were
Okay,
very
let me
integral
You speak
in
about
the revolution,
Mozambique.
in the
Kagame
revolts.
is
House
in
nigga played
Mozambique
a key
on
a
behalf
key
of
part.
France,
Let's not ill out
working
on the
on
house
behalf
okay,
niggas
of
now.
Dinus,
France,
let me respond real
getting
quick.
Dude, we have
sponsored
to
by
respond
the
to
She
this
going in
idiot.
on
Europeans.
house
She's
niggas like
serious
house
Dinus,
niggas
ignorant.
doing their
Okay.
work.
Dinus,
Let me
House
pass
niggas
the
playing
mic. Let me
work
pass it.
too.
Kasha Nova, then I'll pass it to Skylar. Go ahead, Kasha.
Yeah, she going in on house niggas like house niggas didn't put in work. The house niggas knew Master so well because he was always in the house, right? So whenever the revolt popped off, it was usually the house nigga who done ran away and came back and set some shit on fire. And now here go the revolt is. But listen to this this untrained mind here. Tell it she'll make you believe that the house nigga is something to look down on. Like he's any better than a field nigga. They both in the same situation. And this is the issue. She's carrying out tribalism too.
Nigga, she just read shit. She don't know nothing.
yeah,
Yeah,
let me respond. Can I? You good, Casanova?
yeah, bro. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, first off, I don't believe your background, ma'am. I find the fact you're in Canada is highly sus. All Rwandans that live in Rwanda love Kagame.
With a
Period.
heavy French accent.
Listen, yeah, people in Rwanda love their president, love Paul Kagame. He's not a
Because
dictator.
Rwanda is an
Let me
open
hold.
air
Let me
prison.
finish. Let me finish.
Because
Hong Kong
The
is
Rwanda
fact,
not
is
even
like
in
a
the
all
country.
let me
you
finish.
see now,
All
you
these.
see.
Let me finish. Let me finish. And they all say like
That's why
he's
you see that
all
you
this
interrupt me as
nonsense.
well. I can interrupt you
Everybody
as
in
well.
Rwanda loved him.
Let him
All right.
finish.
You see the video. You see YouTube. You go to Rwanda. Everybody loved them. African Americans love them. All Rwanda YouTube love them. They all love them. People that live in America, these African immigrants that live in America, you can't trust these people. They're shady people. They're probably some political party that's in exile. They're
What's
probably
Facts.
like
love got to do with
they
it? What's love
you're
got
one
to
of
do
them,
with
ma'am.
it?
You're living in Canada. That's what's got to do with it.
What's
Why are
love
you in
got to do with
Canada?
it?
Why are you in
Facts.
Canada? Why aren't you in Rwanda?
She's a
Why are you not
traitor.
in Rwanda?
Luis, let him speak.
What?
I'll last to
Why
then
aren't you
let's
in
give
not in
Luis also to
Rwanda,
count.
Miss? First of all, why aren't you in Rwanda? And second, why is it when the South Africa they went into Mozambique, that's not being a puppet? That's not being a puppet of what Rwanda does it. Again, the Mozambique government asked Paul Kagame to come in and stop ISIS in Mozambique. This idea
We
that
know
he's
who's
and then
sponsoring
there.
ISIS, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but let me finish. There's this conspiracy that he's working on behalf of total. Mozambique asked Paul Kagame to come into Mozambique because the South African government failed to protect
Failed.
Mozambique. That's why. So when South
Facts.
Africa was in Mozambique, was that being a puppet? And Sarah Ramaphosa a puppet too? Like, why is it that Rwanda's is a puppet, but when Sarah Ramaphosa, South Africa, they failed in Mozambique, when they're in Mozambique, that's not being a puppet. Again, the Mozambique government asked them to be in Mozambique. So
By
my
the
question
way,
is, why are you not in Rwanda? And second, when South Africa was in Mozambique, was that them being a puppet, Miss Louise?
can I respond to her?
No, let
No, I'm
Louise
talking to
answer.
Miss Louise.
No, let
Answer
Louise
question.
answer. Let Louise answer. Go ahead, Louise.
Why am I not in China? Why am I
In
not in
Rwanda.
North Korea? Why
You're
am
in
I not
liberal
in
Canada.
Saudi Arabia? I am responding to you because I want to live in freedom. Rwanda is a criminal dictatorship ruled
Hello.
by a master killer who kills, imprisons, and sends people into exile.
She
If you
Hutu.
are a Rwandan and
She
you can
Hutu. She
think
wearing a
and
wire.
you can speak for yourself, the
Give a-
Kagamistan will hate you. They will
give an
put you in
example.
jail, or you
Sila.
have to go and live in exile. I am in Canada. I am a refugee. I ran away from this criminal
Oh,
dictatorship
so your
in
parents killed
Rwanda
Hutus.
that is
No
enslaving
problem.
people and imprisoning
about that.
He's
people
enslaving
simply
people.
for having freedom of
They
speech,
enslaving people.
Is
simply
John
for
Lodge a
even
slave?
speaking.
China.
You still
Rwanda
have,
is a slavery. Rwandan people are suffering
you haven't
that
even been
you
in
guys
Rwanda
don't
since the 90s.
understand it because you keep swallowing the propaganda that the
Paul
Kagamistan have
Kagame, the
been
boogeyman. He
broadcasting
over there put
around the
belts
No,
on
let
world.
her
his
speak.
ass.
Let her
And
speak.
when
No, let her speak.
Rwandans tell you about their realities, you don't want to hear none of that because you're there. Everybody loves Rwanda. Rwandans are terrified. They live in fear. Nobody speaks in Rwanda. Nobody
Big
has
bad
freedom of
boogeyman.
speech in Rwanda. The only thing, the only right that you have
Why
in
do they stay
Rwanda
there?
is the
Yes,
right
China,
to
hold on.
praise Kagame. This
Can I
you can
respond?
only praise Kagame in Rwanda. And if you want to live as a free human being, you want to have freedom of speech, you want to be intelligent, you want to live a free life, you have to leave Rwanda. You have to
Give them
become a
example.
refugee.
What's
Yeah.
free?
So I
What's
chose to
free?
become a refugee.
And
I chose to be
Uganda.
free.
He
This is
want to
why
do
I live in
everything
Canada.
that hurt her. That's what free is.
Okay,
Dinas, can I
okay, okay.
respond?
Okay,
So,
hold
okay,
on.
my second
Hold on.
question. My
I
second
gotta
question. Hold
speak
on,
as well.
no,
Dinas,
my
can I,
second
can I
question.
speak as well?
My
No,
second
no,
question. No,
Skylar.
no,
Skylar, you are not the one.
no.
Skylar,
Why
you are
was
not the
South
only one on
Africa?
panel.
When South
Hold on,
Africa
hold
and
on, hold on.
Skylar,
Mozambique.
you
He
know
doing
Why?
everything that
Let
hurt
Skylar
My
ask
second
his second
question.
question.
Skylar, let him talk.
Let
Talk.
Skylar ask his second question. Then I'll pass it to call. Then you, Pablo. Then it's set.
So now you are
Okay,
giving
when South
Skylar more
Africa
time
and
than
Mozambique,
anybody
when
else.
South Africa and Mozambique, why was that not an issue? When South Africa was in Mozambique, when South Africa was in Mozambique and they
Don't
failed,
you understand?
they left.
Military,
When Rwanda,
military,
again, the Mozambique government asked Rwanda to help
military
them.
cooperation.
Why is that? Why is that evil? Why is that a conspiracy? Yeah. Can you answer that,
Subcontracting.
Louise?
The French are the ones who are sponsoring Rwanda to operate in Mozambique. The French have given millions to Rwanda to intervene in Mozambique.
What are
The
the details
Rwandan
of that contract?
army
What
is
about
not in
Mozambique?
Mozambique to protect Mozambique
Did
people
the
or
Mozambique
Mozambican
government?
interests.
Did the
The
Mozambique government
Rwandan
gave
army
permission?
is in
Let me answer. You
Mozambique
ask a
to
question and you
protect
want to
French interests, and the budget for the Rwandan army to go to Mozambique is by France. They have received millions of euros, and these are verifiable facts.
We have to
What
respond
about
to this
South Africa?
nonsense.
Okay,
What about
yes,
South
Skylar,
Africa?
let me say something. The same one.
Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
Okay, so Rwanda, when Rwanda's in Mozambique.
Skylar, let me pass it to call. Call, you got a minute. Call, you got a minute and 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Why you're not timing Skylar? Okay, this is the thing. You know, a country can go into military cooperation, right? And Mozambique and South Africa being in SADC region, they have that military cooperation. It's the same with when South Africa had his troop in Goma. It's because they're all in SADC and they have military cooperation. Now, with Rwanda being in Mozambique, it's Total company, the French gas company which was there. Through France, with many of things which were going under, background, France subcontracted Rwanda to go to intervene in Mozambique. And that's what Louise is trying to show you, to make you understand. This is something easy which you can verify, which you can find online.
Ask for Rwanda to come?
Listen,
Did the
Skylar.
Mozambique
Hold
government
on,
ask them to
hold
come?
on. Skylar,
How can they go to Mozambique
you've
without
never
the
given
Mozambique
any
government
references
approval?
which people can check. Look here.
I'm not
Look here,
asking you. Did they invade Mozambique?
Listen,
Did Rwanda
Skylar.
invade Mozambique?
No,
Did
they
Rwanda
didn't
invade?
invade. Listen, yes, it
Okay,
was
so they
between.
went to.
Listen now.
It was
Listen
between
now. It
Mozambique
was
and
the deal.
Rwanda.
Listen,
It was
it was
between
the
Mozambique and Rwanda.
nobody.
Skylar, let call answer.
Man,
Go
you see
ahead,
how why are you afraid, bro?
answer the question. Go.
Yeah. So it's a French after subcontracting the Rwanda. Of course, they will have to work some way because it was not an invasion. Mozambique had to accept because the Rwandan, they went there so as to protect the total installation, the gas, the gas installations, because some Mozambican people were against the exploitation without them seeing any development, anything in their area. That's why they start sabotaging that. Then France, intervened in that way. But South Africa was more, was trying to help, but it was a bigger issue. And South Africa was trying to protect also some innocent, civilian. If I can pass on into asking another question, with my time, I will ask Luis, then pass all my time to Luis. Luis, do you think, for me, knowing Rwanda, having been in Rwanda and experiencing Rwanda,
to that nonsense.
yes, you can. Of course, you can respond.
So, ask your question. Then I'm gonna let Pablo respond and pass it to set two. Then I'm gonna let Luis close out. So go ahead, Omcar.
Which question did Pablo ask?
Well, no, Omcar.
The question.
Omcar. Ask Luis the question. Then I'm gonna let Pablo respond. Set two. Then Luis could respond, answer your question. Then we're closing out. Go ahead.
All right, because people don't understand Rwanda. Rwanda is an open air prison. Let me say this. You can have a look on going and look for a guy, Professor Aimable Karasira. This is what you call Tutsi genocide survivor who is incarcerated for speaking his mind. So, and it's not only one case. That's one of the 1,000 cases in Rwanda. In Rwanda, you cannot speak freely. That's why Kagame has invested heavily in the security, especially intelligence, so as to control the country and have, be high alert on anything of security. You can look up, there is even another lady, Dan Rigara, she was Tutsi survivor. There is a former famous...
Omcar, you said you had a question, not...
Yeah, now I will ask this. The question which I wanted to ask is, you keep on disturbing me. Luis, do you think, as a Congolese, I don't think that, although we have, you've touched on that, I don't think that we have a best leader right now, but he's trying his best. Do you think, should we praise Kagame because he has cleaned up a few streets in Kigali and organized something, but in the same case, on the price of unaliving more than 12 million civilian Congolese, and the death which happened in Rwanda of more of maybe 800,000
people were killed
of our brothers and sisters? Do you think that is a leader we should praise and look up to, or I think they are better? Because for me, I look at
let me pass it to Pablo. And then I'm gonna let Step 2 Mom talk.
Second question.
No. I got a question.
No.
Ivan Kagame, 6 million Martian. Ivan Kagame, 6.
Go ahead, Pablo. Go ahead. Then Step 2. Then Luis, you can answer the question. Go ahead, Pablo.
I just got a quick question for Omcar. Omcar, do you speak French or do you speak Swahili?
I speak both. Naongea Kiswahili, je parle français. Moi, je suis Congolais. Mimi ni Mkongomani.
So wewe ni Mkongomani lakini unakubali vitu ya French?
Vitu ya French ndio nini? Kuko vitu gani ya French?
Una defend our friends.
No, hakuna French na defend, my bro.
Na kwa nini unarusha kila kitu Kagame?
Listen, okay. As African, we have to start taking Dinas. That's what we were saying. We have to start knowing where to assign blame. The French blame, I'll put it on French. The Belgian blame, I'll put it on Belgian. The Congolese blame, I'll put it on Congolese. But the Kagame blame, I cannot shift Kagame blame and blame French.
Okay, let me respond to that.
I need you to prove that Kagame killed over 12 million people.
Let me respond.
Okay, read the book. Holocaust in Congo.
See, the problem.
There is even research. There is a research which was done by IRC, International Rescue Committee, and the UN experts. The report was leaked in 2010. It's called the UN Mapping Report. You can look it online on World Wide Web. It's published by many news agencies. The UN Mapping Report exercise in Congo. Go look it up.
Okay, Omcar is a real Congolese. I just wanted to check. But here's the thing. I don't believe this woman is a Congolese. She's speaking with a heavy French accent. So
you don't know that Rwanda before 1994 was a French-speaking country? I mean, before 2000? You don't know that?
Oh, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure.
You see? That's how ignorant. A lot of Rwandans speak both French and English.
I know.
Even right now in Rwanda.
I know. See, my thing is this. We have to be, as Africans, we have to be a little bit more.
So I have a French accent, eh? Here I was thinking that Americans are thinking that I'm American already. Eh? I have a French accent. I still have my French accent, eh?
My thing is this: as
Maybe of Quebec French.
my problem as Africans is we
So
don't
what
know,
is the
right?
problem with the accent? I don't get the problem with the
We
accent.
don't know as Africans. We don't know who our enemy is, and we don't know who our friend is. We're constantly blame. We're constantly being used. We don't even people don't even see Paul Kagame is the scapegoat that's been chosen to cover up everything else that everyone else is doing around Congo to blame Paul Kagame exclusively. They're literally nobody's bringing Coca-Cola, Apple. There is no coltan or processing plants in Rwanda or Uganda, but they're the people who constantly get blamed just because people cross over the border with these minerals. How am I responsible for 100 million people crossing over the border and selling minerals on my market, and now I'm being called a thief? See, this is how these people are saying. And then you hear one person saying that they didn't let Congo
It's only
be
that. It's not
civilized
only that.
because of
And
the
well,
minerals that were used to
they know
produce the
African will
World War.
protect ourselves with that. Yes.
Yeah. That's not true. The reason for that is because of they didn't want the minerals to go to the Soviet Union. That's why they did what they did to Congo. They had to put a puppet in there. It had nothing to do with they don't want to stabilize Congo. It had everything to do with they want to prevent the Soviet Union from having any access to the minerals there. But the thing about this, people are too stuck on the emotional side. They don't look at the geopolitical side. They don't look at the economical side. Rwanda doesn't get anything. There's other actors that are getting, like I said, no one is talking about who controls the global oil market and how they're directly connected to what's going on in Congo. But Paul Kagame is the responsible party. We just spoke about Mozambique and that French company Total. Who is the one that's making sure that that energy plant doesn't get started, and why? We're not talking, but people are saying it's Paul Kagame. Nobody's talking about USAID being proven for sending 200 million to Al Shabaab, ISIS, and all these other groups just last year. And these groups are active in Africa. DR Congo got 800 million for USAID last year. Where's that money? What happened? But Paul Kagame is the issue. My problem is people are scapegoating Paul Kagame and they don't want to talk about everything else. They want to make him the problem. And when I see things like that, it reminds me of Libya, Sudan, because what usually happens is this: they'll have an African, with a fresh accent, or writer, somebody who wrote a book or something, go up to Congress and start complaining about how their country is unstable because of um, corruption and there's killings of this and that. A few weeks ago, there was a news article that 70 Christians were beheaded in Congo.
Hey,
If
yo,
you know
Steve.
anything about how colonials came into Africa, that's the exact same thing. They were saying Christian missionaries were killed in Africa, and then that's how the British Army came in. So it's literally the same exact language. They're looking for a reason to come into Congo, and then I'm listening to these Africans basically blaming another African, calling for Western armies to come in. Like, what the hell is going on? And that's all I got to say.
All right, let me pass it to set two. Go ahead, set two.
All right, thank you, Dennis, for giving me the floor.
Hey, set
First of
two. You
all,
sound like you're on speakerphone. And you're far from the phone.
oh, 1 second. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
All right. So I just want to say thank you to Louise for what she said. It was very like insightful, and she's right on all points that Rwanda is not like led by Africans, and Congo is also the heart of Africa. I'm from Senegal. We used to call Congo like, if you want to say heart, like the human body part, heart, we say more Congo, like my Congo, because it's the heart of Africa. It has like like resources that can transform Africa like tremendously in a way that nobody can ever imagine. So if Congo can control the resources, if the European, the Americans, and all those CIA people like looting, creating wars and killing people, if that stop, Congo will be something else. And also if we have good leaders, because the problem is the leadership, uh, like mainly the leadership. And I have a question also for Skylar. I heard him talk about Mozambique. I just want to ask him, as he has, like, have you ever been in Mozambique or Rwanda? That's just a simple question.
Neither. I
Irrelevant.
plan on neither. No, no,
Irrelevant.
good. No, no, no. So he's good. But yeah, neither. I've been to neither. But I had a question to ask Combo quick. If that's okay with you, Dinus.
Okay, no, yeah, before like that was my question. So when I hear you talk, you talk with certainty as if you
You
like
don't
know
have
what's
to
going
be
on. No,
somewhere
no,
to
no.
know
Listen
what's
to me.
going on.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let him finish.
Over.
Let him finish.
Let me finish, please, because I didn't cut you. I'm just trying to, say my word, and then after I'll drop the mic. So, with you talking with certainty, you can talk with certainty if you do your research properly. But what you were saying was right. You didn't even give her the time to speak. People are just rushing to stop her. She was talking facts. And Congo is being looted by Westerners, but they have complice, like they have the help of maybe some leaders in Rwanda, some even people in Congo. All those people need to stop. We need to make sure that these don't happen anymore, like in the future, because Congo, like, is rich, like very very rich. France, the French country, like French and European country, most of they don't even have gold fucking mines. They have like the most amount of golds in the world, like, but they don't even have gold mine. They looting, taking, like saying they like protecting for jihad in this area or this and that, but they just digging and digging and digging, like drilling and taking oils and gold under the watch of leaders, corrupted leaders. So that's the main problem. And if we can fix that, we can move forward. And I'll
Okay, can I ask Uncle quick? Call. There was this protest against Felix. I forgot a couple of months ago or something like that. The presidential guard came out and they killed people. What was that about?
Okay, I'll speak to that, but because there is a video which Dinas played first of Paul Kagame,
Yeah, but
lying,
can we talk about that? Yeah. Can we talk about that protest where people got killed by the presidential guard?
Yeah, hold on. There was an issue in it was in Goma. It was last year. So Luis, Kagame spoke about.
Yo. Can you answer? No. Can you talk about how the presidential guard Felix killed his own people?
Is Congolese leadership committing acts of genocide?
No, that's what I wanted to. So when there is no, because look, if there was any act of genocide with the NGO being in Congo, with UN, a group of experts being in Congo, like
I'm not saying a genocide. There was a protest.
Hold on.
There was a protest. People got killed.
I'm asking question, but you still want to interrupt me.
Go ahead.
Do you see like even the ICC, the prosecutor of ICC went to Congo? Because why? Because in 2022 there is this group called Gumino and Twiraneho, which killed more than 600 people in Kipupu. You can look it up. Even the Nobel laureate Dr. Mukwege spoke out about that. And this group M23, which is a Rwandan proxy, killed people in Bambo, 150, in Kishishe, more than 240, in Ruchuru, they kill about 50. I mean, they unalived. In Mweso, they unalived. So there is a lot of massacres going, especially in the area controlled by M23. In Goma, you know yourself, recently, there was more than 3,000 Congolese unalived. And in Bukavu, the unalivement is going on even, all the area which M23 control. So that's why the government of Congo have been inviting the ICC so as to establish a court or start doing their proper investigation so as to try these people. So if, yes, in Congo, there was an act of genocide which took place from 1996 to, I would say, to 2003, but you can also, it was ongoing. And who committed the genocide? If you look in all the investigation and the reports, they will tell you that there are names, but because these people, they've got the powerful backers, it's RPF, but it might not be only them. There might be also some Congolese elements. But the people, the entity which was singled out, it's the army of Uganda and Rwanda. Why? Because remember, there was a time when these two armies fought in Congo, in Kisangani, and more than 2,000 bombs were thrown on the city in Congo by two arms which are not from Congo. So that killed Kenya aid, a lot of civilian. Those acts have been said, if they are presented to the competent court, they can be classified as acts of genocide. You understand? So Paul
Yeah,
Kagame, that's why most Congolese
Okay, but let me
don't
pass
like Paul
the K2,
Kagame.
but I'm still not buying this whole Kagame killed 12
yeah,
million
but
people. There's no
again,
proof
but
of
again,
that.
he's not answering
Let me,
my
no, no,
question. There
one
was a
moment.
You can
protest.
look it up yourself. You can look it up yourself.
Let me pass the mic. K2, go ahead, K2. Unmute yourself. K2, unmute yourself. K2,
My bad. Can you hear me?
hear you loud and clear.
All right, good. Yeah, appreciate you having me on. It's been a minute. You know, I always pay attention to the show, so shout out to you. Actually, the reason I actually even came up, it's weird to hear people constantly. So the dude that was saying, "Oh yeah, it had nothing to do with the minerals. The reason they supported Mobutu was all about this Soviet Union, threat, and hey, they're just worried about Russia." Man, this has been like, look, the whole Russia thing, and Russia against you, communists versus capitalists, and all this kind of stuff. Man, them are just excuses that just are to be used. If you honestly, I can't honestly believe that people are so dense to believe that it's not about the minerals and the wealth. Like there's only one reason why the Congo has been in this same situation for 60 years. All of the other countries got their quote unquote independence. Now, every single country in Africa has had some corrupt leader that mainly that's all they have is corrupt leaders. Because Africa's been being used. But the Congo specifically, since Patrice Lumumba, they haven't had a leader in general. Every single leader that they've had has done nothing at all for the Congo. And then for everybody to come on the panels and be like, oh well, yeah, it's your leadership, which I agree, because in some of the shows that y'all had before, y'all were saying, oh, why are you talking about Kagame? You need to be talking about Tshisekedi. You don't need to talk about Tshisekedi because Tshisekedi is just like every other leader the Congo has had. But the thing that y'all aren't discussing is it's not like the people of Congo are really the ones that have elected these leaders. These leaders are pushed on them by the West with a purpose. The whole thing that people are talking about with Kagame and Museveni, who in all reality, and I can't even say just before this, because sometimes you got to see the writing on the wall, but it's like, nah, I like what Kagame is doing in this country. I like the fact that he has that program of, keeping, and that's the main thing that everybody talks about when it comes to Rwanda. Oh, they got clean streets. They got clean streets. This itty bitty little country that's over to the side. Yeah, they got a kind of a clean country and they're starting to get some infrastructure, but you're not looking at where the dollars are really coming in from. Like, where are they getting now? To full disclosure, I'm not one that doesn't think that Rwanda has any minerals. However, you cannot make the argument, oh no, they got minerals. I think it's Cashta or whatever. No issues with you, but just based off of what you say, oh no, they got coltan and they got cobalt. I'm sure, I bet that they do have some coltan and some cobalt and some minerals. You can't, for the people that argue that they have no minerals, I think you're dumb as hell, because it's like, how is it that the Congo has all these minerals? You're sitting right next to it and you don't have any. They try to say Kenya doesn't have any minerals. It's like everywhere in Africa has some minerals. Everywhere in Africa has some stuff. However, they don't have it on the capacity that definitely that the Congo has, but even at the capacity to export their minerals at the capacity that they do. You have to connect the dots. How are they getting it? How are they doing that? How was the country actually built? It's not helping Africa. It's only helping him and his people. The whole thing, but I don't know why it's not talked about how Kagame and Museveni, as they came, and it has been talked about, but I don't understand how people can't see the writing on the wall and put the pieces together that these people literally came into power backed by the West. Like, how can we call them Pan-Africanists? Patrice Lumumba was not backed by the West to come into power and to get the notoriety that they get amongst the people. They got it out of the mud. They did it like it was what they call here grassroots. They literally were backed by the West, trained by the West to go in and overthrow the governments that they didn't want anymore. and literally to destabilize that region. Literally, the war of what was it in '98 when
1994
Zimbabwe and South Africa and all these other countries that came in because they were trying to break the Congo into 5 different states.
1998. Yes, 1998.
Yeah, they were trying to break the Congo into 5 different states, and the leaders, at least back then, regardless of what they were doing, Mugabe and all of them or whatever, they at least seen the writing on the wall, like, hey, we can't let this happen. The Congo was just too, and so I'll end with this, because you know, I know Dynast, I know you say a lot, like, yeah, you know what, man, they should just let Kagame run the Congo. I disagree with you on the fact that it won't be, it will be like what they say, you know, the Rwanda is now. It will be a sealed lips. You can't even talk about the BS that's really going on in the background, and it will only be the Tutsi and Bahimas or whatever that are really sitting on top, just like in any other African nation or whatever, where one tribe is sitting around. And you know, and on a side note, I don't know why, you know, because Dynast, maybe that's because you go to Nigeria a lot and you know you have, you know, roots in Nigeria or whatever, but why we're not comparing this to, you know, from what I've heard, the situation with the Fulani in Nigeria. Like, these are people that come in. It's somewhat known. I don't want to say that it's a known fact, because everybody has their own opinions, but they outwardly, you know, they control. They're a small minority of a group, but they control the majority of the things that are going on. And they also sell out. They have no problem with saying, yeah, no, we work with the West. We do this, we do that. But then people try and make excuses for them. So what I would say, when, you know, with Dynast, and for all the people that say, oh, yeah, Kagame should run the Congo, I think that the Congo would, at least on paper or as far as looks, it would look better if Kagame was running it. However, it would not actually be better for
Hey, I have a question. Hey, can I got a question for you.
No, it won't.
It would. It would. It
No,
would.
no, no. It would.
Hey, I got a
look
question.
good.
The guy.
It would look good. It would look beautiful.
Hey,
Hold on.
can I call to you real quick? Hey,
No,
the guy,
you don't know Rwanda, man.
Where do you get this idea that Paul Kagame want to break up the Congo? Again, Rwanda. Paul Kagame said there's Tutsis in Uganda.
Hold on. So did you say, where do I get the idea that he wants to break up the Congo?
This guy is never
Paul Kagame wants to break up.
I'm not saying that Paul Kagame. See, that's what you're not getting. I'm not saying Paul Kagame wants to break up the Congo. I'm saying that the powers that are backing him want to break up the Congo. Paul Kagame is just
Skylar, start doing research, bro. Start reading.
No, okay. Where did Paul say we're gonna break up the Congo?
Him and Museveni, who Museveni doesn't get enough talk about. And again, like I said, but it's not just before this, but like to a degree, I've always liked Kagame and Museveni.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
and I ask you, my brother, let me explain something.
But K2, what's disingenuous is that these same Western powers are backing the Congo.
No,
yeah, let me respond to this. Let me respond to the guy real quick. Hey, the guy, let me respond to this guy real quick. Let me respond to this guy real quick. Let me respond. Let me respond. No.
Let me elaborate on K2 what he said about the leadership.
Let me respond about him. Let me respond to the guy that Paul Kagame is brought in by the West. Again, Paul Kagame was the Tutsi monarchy. The Belgian they kicked out the Tutsi monarchy and they put the Hutus in power.
You don't even know.
Why would they bring? I'm not. Why would they bring him back into power if again
you said the Western powers are also backing the Congo?
Of course they are. They've been backing it since they got involved with this action. Okay, too. Let me talk.
DRC.
Let him talk. Let him talk.
One mic. Well, you guys are going to talk over me. They've been doing it ever since they backed the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. You don't think they're not involved?
No, they are. Time out. They are involved. But when you're saying backing the Congo, all they are doing is backing the corrupt leader.
You know what? Whose fault is that the corrupt leaders aren't providing for the people of the Congo?
Let me elaborate. Since I'm Congolese,
but time out. If you have a person that's in power that you know is not like, they're literally only sponsoring or backing a person that will not take care of the people that's in power. And with you saying that, you're acting like the people that are there actually have a choice over who is that person that's in power.
So then K2. So why is the situation different in Rwanda, where the people at least have the necessities?
Because they wanted to. Can I explain?
Dynasty, for real? Because
Yeah.
they
So
literally
okay,
put a
let's say
person in
okay. Hold on, I
power.
have a question real quick.
Hey,
I have a
Skylar,
question.
ask about
in
They're
power.
no.
I let you
They
first.
say
What? No.
why
Skylar,
is it
hey, Dana,
okay? Hold
Dana,
up.
I gotta speak.
I mean,
Let me
K2,
elaborate
hold
on
up,
what
man.
K2 said.
Hold up. They said
okay, but so K2, you have two leaders, you have two countries, you have Rwanda and the Congo. The
Right.
West is backing both to an extent.
No,
At least
what
leader
is
gives
backing?
enough
Be
enough of a damn about his
Be
people.
honest. How are they backing the Congo? They are only backing the destabilization.
Congo receives more aid than Rwanda, by far none.
That's a lie.
Congo's
Their
the
aid
biggest.
doesn't matter.
No, it's not.
Are you crazy?
They're the biggest recipient aid. Yes, they are.
This is the
Yes,
first
they
time
are.
I've been in a conversation with y'all in a
They
minute.
are.
I do sit
Look up
back and I
African
listen, though.
recipient aid. Look.
This guy,
Look up African recipient aid.
What
No,
are we
it's
talking
not.
about? Aid,
You're
aid
acting
is a
like the
negative
Yes, it
Congo
thing.
does
is.
not get
You
support
sending
from the
aid,
West.
Yes, they
sending
get.
aid is a negative thing unless they're sending aid specific. So these aid programs, once again, y'all talked about, some of them back LGBTQ stuff, some of them do this, some of the money is literally just going into other people's pockets. But when they're sending the Congo aid, they're sending them food aid and stuff like this, maybe, right? But the Congo has more fertile land than everybody. They can do it themselves, but they're constantly at war.
Yeah,
because that is what the U.S. is backing. That's what the West is backing.
Let me add on that.
Say that they're backing both of them.
They're backing both of them.
No, they're not.
No,
they're not. They back.
No, they're not.
No.
Why did Paul Kagame? Hey, y'all have a question.
Yes.
I have a question for a guy. Why did Paul Kagame decline to take the secondhand clothes? He was such a puppet.
Oh,
when Donald Trump,
it's the same thing.
When Donald Trump,
it's the same argument.
No, it's not. It's true.
Oh yeah,
no, it's not.
Clean streets.
No, it's not. He declined to take secondhand clothes.
Let me elaborate.
He declined to take. Why did Donald Trump sanction Rwanda? Why did Donald Trump sanction Rwanda in the first term?
K2, can I elaborate on what you said?
Say the question again. Why what?
Why did in his first term Donald Trump sanctioned Rwanda? Because he wouldn't take secondhand clothes.
My friend,
you are
clothes. Once again, it looks the same as them sanctioning Paul Kagame now for shit that he's been doing for
Why
30
did he took his secondhand clothes? Why did he not
take
his secondhand clothes?
Do you have a mind, man? You are
look,
sorry for
again.
Let me elaborate.
K2,
let me elaborate.
The both are being back. Let
me elaborate something. Let me elaborate something.
One leader cares more about his people than the other.
See, that's it. No, honestly, no, Dinas, you're actually completely right about that. But the difference is the West put both leaders in power. However, one leader
is a coon and the one isn't.
One leader is literally put there to allow for the destabilization of their own country. The other leader was put there to make sure that it stays destabilized.
Yes. And it attracts. Yeah. Let me also.
When you say that one leader cares about their people,
So hold on, K2. With that being said, the Congolese, the smoke needs to be towards Congolese leaders.
And we are.
Time out. You said
they blame Kagame and the Tutsi for everything. With that being
said, listen. That's half true.
Yes.
They're blaming Kagame for the stuff that he's been doing for 30 years because he's been. Here's the thing. If Kagame was really a real one, a real Pan-African leader, he really cared about all of the African people, then he would have been helping. They should be working together. What the West sponsors, he has not.
Yes, he has. He helped himself.
He helped his tribe specifically.
He helped.
Why did he open the border?
One mic. He helped with Kabila. Then Kabila turned his back on him.
Which helped?
Kabila refused to allow only his people, only his tribe, to invade every part of the government, from the military to the to the cabinet, the Senate, the Congress, how it is in Rwanda right now. We talk about how great everything is and the streets are clean and this, that, and the third or whatever, but we don't talk about how most of his cabinet is all his tribe.
Is that not the same for Tshisekedi? Is that not the same for Tshisekedi right now?
Not
Yeah,
really.
what?
No.
Oh, what
yeah,
do you mean?
he
Not
put his
really. Is that
daughter.
not the
To
same
some
He
for
put his
extent,
Shiketti?
daughter in charge. He put his daughter in charge.
but it's
Think
not
that not the
all.
same
Tshisekedi.
for Shiketti, K2?
No,
Look,
it's not.
time out. This goes right back to what I said before when I said
Hey, yo, guy, I have
it's
a
not
question.
China,
about
let the person speak as well.
listen, it's not about just condemning Kagame. The
Yes.
reason that Tshisekedi, you brought up that argument like 3 weeks ago. You know, I didn't jump on those lives or whatever, but it's like my whole thing is this. The reason they're not talking about Tshisekedi is because it's no different than the leaders that they've had since Patrice Lumumba. None of them have been good. All of them have been corrupt. If you think that by me condemning Paul Kagame, I'm saying Tshisekedi is a good
Okay.
leader and he's
No.
doing right for them, you're dead wrong, because Tshisekedi is just as corrupt. I agree with you on hey, if you're going to bring in the U.S. military, you might as well let Paul Kagame
No,
run.
no.
But,
As a Congolese, can I elaborate now?
hold on, wait. This is the last thing I'll say on that. Don't bring the Tshisekedi argument to me anymore past this point, because my solution for the Congo is the only thing that is going to work for the Congo is that they have a complete uprising, a complete military overthrow of their government by people that actually care about the country, that care about all of the people in the country, not just their tribe, that want to unify and that want to unify with the other countries and their neighbor countries around.
That was
It's
Laurent
the
Kabila.
only way.
That was Laurent Desire Kabila, and that's why the KIA as well. So that's why I wanted to elaborate. You see, the brother spoke many things which are accurate and Dinas. You know, let's
I
go even
appreciate that, Uncle.
about the leaders now. You know, even Mobutu, when people say that all these leaders in Congo, yes, I'm not saying, like I said again, a dynasty. When I come here and put, out here the things which Paul Kagame is doing, the crimes, it's not like I'm saying that Tshisekedi is the best. Osare knows I've criticized Tshisekedi a lot. It's because we hold, if you go in Congolese media, 80% it's about criticizing Tshisekedi and the government, what they're doing. But because you guys, you've been fed a lot of PR propaganda from Rwanda, that's why I spend more time here showing you the truth about Kagame. Now, let me go to when you speak about the leaders of Congo. Actually, do you know, like even Joseph Kabila, the leader who gave Tshisekedi power, I never liked him. I fought him. Even, I nearly got shot, but I fought him until when he, even the people who were backing him up to destabilize the country, they let him go. Actually, but do you know that he constructed more than 2,000 kilometers of paved road during his time? You see? But because Congo is not on PR, do you know, does Rwanda have a 20 kilometer of, let's say, of eight lane, 4 lane one side, 4 lane one side?
Does Congo
For
have its
people,
own airlines?
yeah, listen, for people, for people who have been in Kigali, does Kigali have a 10 kilometer or 4 lane one side? But it was constructed in Congo by a leader. So do you see? It's just that the PR is not big.
Rwanda does not have as much. The population is as
Yeah, it's
large.
not
They
as
don't have much
big.
traffic.
Not as
Yes.
big as.
All right. Also, do you understand that it's easier to clean up a studio bedroom than cleaning up an 80-bedroom mansion? You understand that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Now, we go to even this guy, Tshisekedi, who's there. There are a few things which he has done. Although, yes, I know what I hold him accountable and what I don't like him, because there was a leader who could have done better than Tshisekedi. But as the brother said, those power who want the Congo to stay in this situation and be destabilized and be plundered, they don't want that leader to take power. It was, for example, Martin Fayulu. That was the time. And before Martin Fayulu, instead of Joseph Kabila, there was another guy. But do you see, that's why even they KIA Laurent Desire Kabila, because the guy, even within 6 months of his power, he arranged road, he was constructing electrical line, he had big project. And that's why, as the brother said, in 1998, they wanted to take him out. Then Zimbabwe, Angola, and Namibia came to his help. But because these guys, they have many ways of doing, they ended up assassinating him in 2001 and installed the guy who's gonna do their beating. That's what a lot of people, you don't get, And about mines in Rwanda. Yes, like the brother said, I know the guy. I've visited a mine in Rwanda, and I know some people who have worked in mine in Rwanda. This is what they do. I cannot blame, Rwanda. Yes, there are some mines which they are buying in Congo, but also, do you know when they attack? Like right now with M23, it has been reported in books. Like even Osare touched on this on the book. You can read Holocaust in Congo, In Praise of Blood by Judy River, or Holocaust in Congo by Shalom Nana. It's written there. Most of the time, like in Rubaya, they waited, because when people mine this coltan, this tank, etc., even, they put them in stock. When the stock is bigger, even Michael Arong wrote about this when he was interviewing the former Kagame chief of staff of military, Kayumba Nyamwasa. They said they targeted the stocks where the mines are. When they know that there is enough stock, they will attack and take out or take up that town or that small village and take away all the mines. That's why sometimes Congolese say that Rwanda is stealing. Most of the time in that way. So it doesn't mean that it's only like those who are selling. And the mines in Rwanda is like this. Yes, like brother said, it's in small quantity. Also, this is what they do in Rwanda. One guy gave me this.
Yeah, we gotta close out in a minute. So we got to go.
He said, if you go there during the day, yes, you'll see them working and they can show even mines. But at night, because they get like, let's say, he gave me the example of coltan. In Rwanda, they may be able to, the whole month, to get maybe just 1 ton. But to sell, they need 10 tons. So they get 9 tons from Congo. And then at night, that's when they mix it with whatever they have, so to present it as if they had produced 10 tons. That's what gas down in Rwanda. I'll stop by there so as to.
Yeah, we're going to close out. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.
Thank you, sir.